All right, guys, let's get it. Remote, launch them out of the tube. Let's look at the handy dandy board. And looks like we're in episode number 326.
Nice.
Woo, 326. Yeah, that's good. Nice round number.
I think it's legal now. I think the podcast is legal.
Podcast is legal. 326. Yeah. I think you're right. Totally legal.
It's graduated.
You guys, we have had, we've just dropped a couple of podcasts, so you guys are going to be, I don't know when the fuck you're going to listen to this. It's not like they show up every Monday.
Probably never. I'm never going to.
Exactly. Who knows? The world may have stopped turning by then. But here's the crazy thing. We have had so much happen for just being like maybe the first week of actual, what anybody would call usable weather, right? And so that being said, a lot of things have happened. So as far as riding goes, yeah, we were doing really good. And then we had snow.
Right.
And then they dumped a year's worth of salt in one day.
Yep.
And now today has been literally rain for the past 12 hours at least.
Which is good.
Which
Cleans
is
it all the
fucking
way.
great, which I totally approve of. And that's what it's going to take to make the roads drivable.
Hey guys, salt's a preservative. It doesn't go bad. You can wait till next year. You don't have to use it all up this year.
We checked. There's no fucking shelf life on salt. And we live over Lake Erie where it's all free, right? So all the salt we want, all we got to do is carry it up. All we got to do is bring it up.
I bet you a lot of the salts that you can buy beg to differ because it'll say like best by date just because they want you to buy more of it.
Yeah. I'm sorry, my salt's gone bad. How would you fucking know? What?
It's not as salty, dude.
It's been salt for thousands of years.
Exactly. Right. Oh,
I'm telling you, if you're a prepper, buy it, stock up on salt. Salt never goes bad, and it makes everything a lot better, and you can preserve things.
Yep.
The Egyptians, again, foundation of their whole goddamn thing. So when we talk about what's been happening here in Cleveland, everyone wants to know. It's like, well, what the fuck's been going on? Well, what's been going on is we're like a bunch of fucking sane Jack Russell Terriers right now. We've all been in the crate way too long. And it's like, we're waiting for somebody to open the crate. We're waiting for our owners to come home because we've already shit ourselves. We've already pissed the crate. We've already pulled anything through that was touching the crate. We've all pulled it into the crate and destroyed your dry cleaning. We have done all the horrible things that you can do while still in that crate. And to wit, like, you guys were able to get some riding in. You guys have done some rides. You've gone and covered some distances.
Wow.
But we are so fucking pent up at this point that people are going apeshit. Yes, AMA Vintage Days is officially happening.
Oh, yeah.
Guys, everybody chill the fuck out. Get off the internet. Quit believing other people. They are selling swap meet spaces. They are selling tickets. We have them. It's been confirmed.
Just be cool.
Bitch, be cool.
Bitch, be cool. Yeah, no shit. It is going to happen. We're all going to go. It's going to be fucking great. It's on like Donkey Kong. It's not going to get shut down. It's not going to get canceled at this point, I don't think. I'm willing to go out on a limb here. Oscar, tell me about the swag related to your hoodie, because again, we're talking about events that are happening and events that aren't happening. And let's go around the table once, just because we're all here. To my left.
Steve Sleepy.
To his left.
Oscar.
His.
Dan Kromke.
To his left.
Johnny Mac.
And to his left.
Nick.
We're kind of a short crew today, a little bit shy, right? But it's okay. It fits nicely around the table. So tell the crew what you've told me today about, well, when you plan to have an event.
So I was looking online because 2 years ago we went to the Isle of Man, and I remember that we saw a jacket that had like you can have the inserts, and it was really nice. Didn't pull the trigger, but I was like, I'll just double check to see if it's online, if it's still available through the usual scumbags. And as it turns out, in the official website of the Isle of Man TT swag, they are already selling 2021 swag because it's not going to happen.
And that's the company we were talking about is in fact called RST. So RST everywhere, and I know to people who live, in England, they are very familiar with the brand. But here in the United States, RST is not a popular brand. It's not a brand that we acknowledge as being like, oh, you know, you got some of those new RST leathers, or I was down at Cycle Gear and I saw RST leathers hanging on the wall. So the RST is not a brand that we're.
It's not Joe Rocket.
It's not Joe Rocket. Yeah, exactly. But yet when we were over there at the Isle of Man, we saw RST shit everywhere. You know, and that's a really. It's kind of like the official, I'm not going to say it's the official brand, because as we know, there's really two brands. There's TT is like a brand, and then there's also like the Mountain Course, so like the jacket you're wearing. And so it is very funny that there's TT Isle of Man stuff. There's basically two companies that you can buy shit from, and when you're on the island. And the weird thing is price control. You do see them at the same price all the time. That brown leather jacket, that's the Isle of Man TT Roadster jacket RST, is 169 pounds. That's, you know, in our money, that's about $199. That's a hell of a good deal for a beautiful brown leather jacket with cool racing stripes on it. It's very much like that Motoguzzi Grizzo jacket that you got, because you were the lucky one that fit in it.
I love that jacket.
Yeah, in the game of Cinderella, you won. Yeah, you won that deal, because if that thing would have been any huskier, I would not have let you have that. But it was the perfect thing. I couldn't, and I tried. I battled. I fought my way into it, and I got the zipper most of the way up, and I was like, fuck no, man, I can't. It looks amazing, but I can't wear it because I was ready for a German porn shoot. It's like, it's perfect. It fits great. Now pee on me.
But when aren't you ready for a German porn shoot?
That's exactly it. Right. It was so, I mean, it hurt me so bad to give that jacket up and to have it not fit. But anyway, I digress. So they printed up. So I went online after the 2020 one was canceled.
Right.
So after everybody admitted that 2020 wasn't happening, I went online and I went to all the places who sell Isle of Man official memorabilia, merchandise, and I bought. The economy was in really bad shape. Everybody was like, support your friends, support people, buy things from people you like, and support the things you enjoy. So I bought, $500 or $600 worth of swag from the Isle of Man souvenir shop. And Oscar got some, and I was just like, I just bought way too much of it.
You might never be back again, though.
I was terrified, right? Yeah. I was terrified.
This might be your one and done, one chance to go to the Isle of Man.
So to have
live large.
Yeah, have the stuff that's marked 2020 would be hilarious, because we were there in 2019, and then 2020 is the year that didn't happen, and now 2021's the year that didn't happen. Oh shit!
Well, can't you make up them stuff, and then when it gets canceled, just be like, then canceled. Like, then you just market it as the year
canceled one
stamp.
And then just put like, fuck COVID.
Just
like, after you have it, you know what I mean? Like,
that's not a bad idea.
It's not a bad idea. And I just really got I did get a kick out of it that you said that they'd printed up 2021. Because I mean, I'm sure that at some point 3 months ago, when somebody had to make the decision, we need to produce this stuff now.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of the stuff they sell doesn't have the year, but a lot of it does.
Yeah, exactly.
So they have
if you
to
were going to print up stuff that didn't have the year, this would have been the year to print up stuff that doesn't have the year.
Right.
I mean, shit.
We joked about that for years. We were talking about if we did rally patches or we did rally shirts or whatever, for like Mods versus Rockers, just don't put the year on it.
Right.
Because then it's evergreen. You can sell it forever. And you can be like, oh, well, was that the 2017 shirt or the 2019 shirt? Who gives a fuck, dude?
It's like an old motorcycle. Depends on when you bought it.
Exactly.
Titled.
What's stamped on the title? Yeah, exactly. And that's that's fucking hilarious. So the fact that happened is just, and again, there's nowhere I'd rather be, right? That's where I'd like to be. But
people that they're hopefully 2022 they're going to come back. People that go to the Isle and they see that stuff, they're going to buy it. I mean, they're obviously they're not going to mark it up as if it was like brand new, but for
and that stuff too. When we went there, keeping in mind that when we were there, it was the 100th running, so they've had 100 times to get their merchandising on target. They know exactly what they're doing, and that is kind of cool because you do when you go to the TT, you always want to bring home cool souvenirs and shit. And I love that crap. So that's super fun, super cool.
We were in the antique store. We were buying like random stuff in like a little flea market thing.
I love that.
Yeah, fucking I love it too.
One of my favorite shops that we went in was an antique store. Yeah. We went into an antique store and it was hilarious because not only is it just an antique shop, but it's also 50-year-old Isle of Man souvenir shit. Yep. So 50-year-old TT shit. Right. And I was like, this is cool. And, you know, I don't care that it says 1993 on it. That's even kind of cooler that it says 93 on it.
Yeah, I have like a really old like business card holder, like metallic one from the Isle of Man. I was like, fuck that.
Super cool.
Who knows where it came from?
And if you're going to get souvenirs, don't get the fresh souvenirs. It's cooler to buy people souvenirs stuff, that are vintage.
Old stuff,
yeah, that's really neat. I had a good time with that, and I kind of thought that was...
I mean, if it did have 2020, it has, so some of the stuff has 2021, you said, right?
Yeah.
It'd be kind of cool. Like, what if it doesn't even come back? And then you have the ghost.
Shut your mouth.
Oh, yeah.
Exactly.
Saying, fuck you, Steve.
Well, I was thinking it. I didn't want to say it. It's like you guys went for the 100th running.
Yeah.
What if that's the last one?
Yeah.
There were only
then we
100.
went to the last one then.
Yeah.
So many things that happened that are so weird. Like we appropriated that tile, right? So I'm going to go get it.
Imagine if you were the one that actually jinxed the whole fucking
I was going
thing
to say something about that, but I wasn't sure if you wanted to say something.
And it's 19, dude.
Yeah.
2019.
Oh my God.
So the Isle of Man Scoreboard. So if anybody's interested, the Isle of Man Scoreboard is very low tech. So they have these things that are called slates. That's called a slate, okay? And technically, it's not really a slate, right?
Is that like a fiber board?
It's literally like a roofing tile or something. It's fiberboard.
Masonite.
Thank you. It's Masonite. And it's got about 900 coats of black paint on it because the Cub Scouts and the Girl Scouts have been running the timing board, the leaderboard at the Isle of Man for about 100 years. And so every year the Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts come out and they write, in paint very hastily. They write paint on there and it's what it is. And I'll pass it around so the crowd can see it. But so Oscar and I, one of the nights, it was after practice. Right. And they had rained out. So there's never been a rainier or wetter, damper, or more moist.
Yeah, there weren't anybody in there.
Right. And so we were hanging out and just basically sneaking around, being tourists, taking pictures, going up on the podium.
Yeah.
Like, literally, we were standing at the fucking podium in the rain. We took all the stupid pictures, right? Mm-hmm. So we did that and we started looking around for like trash, like stuff that we could steal. And so as we're looking around, they have a bunch of these slates. And
underneath
the guy that we were shacking up with was a major souvenir hound.
Don't say it that way, man. They already think we're gay, dude.
The person you were renting from.
Yes.
No. The guy that was
fuck you.
the guy that was renting. We were sharing a house with him.
Renting with.
We were renting with our cohabitant. All right, our hetero love mate.
You were shacking up.
Anyway, but we were totally shacking up with him. But he was like...
He was making you breakfast and shit.
I was making him breakfast.
Other way around.
That's Oscar. I made all the breakfast.
Yeah.
I love making breakfast. But anyway...
Favors paid, favors owed, man.
Right.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah. You got a full belly? Well, I got a full ball sack. Yeah,
Did
we'll
you
go
say
there.
favors hoed?
But the... he was really into like getting signatures. Like he
was doing that.
He wanted to get people's autographs.
Kind of sketchy, but yeah, he was doing that stuff.
Yeah, but he was really into it. Like,
wasn't he like talking to kids?
He was talking
to get signatures from the guy. That was.
You're not making that up. He's for real. Oscar's not bullshit.
Paid money for a kid to talk to the guy to get a signature from him.
Right.
That's a solid strategy.
It is, but again, did you really get his autograph? Did you really? Really? Or did you use a child?
I used a child.
He was very proud of the fact that he was clever enough to get that autograph because the guy was like, I'm not signing autographs. But then this, 8-year-old girl comes up and goes,
Hey, mister.
You're my hero.
Dude.
Well, who do I make this out to? Martin.
If I go back about 10 or 15 episodes, because the last 15 have been pretty interesting.
Yeah.
I can find little snippets and really put together an awful, awful piece on small children.
Oh, God.
God.
We don't want to.
No.
So,
because somehow we keep getting into stuff that's very
All right, it's been nice knowing you guys.
okay.
FBI, open up.
So, when we were taking our ride around the island, so the guy's house we rented, the guy's a taxi cab driver. He drives cabs professionally around the island. And he said, hey, since you guys are renting my house for an atrocious amount of money, it was an embarrassing amount of money that we paid to have this house. But he was like, the least I can do is I can put you guys in my car and I'll give you guys the hottest lap of Isle of Man we can give you.
And he did.
And he scared the fucking shit out of us. And the guy, straight up, he knows every turn. He's lived there his whole life. So he's sliding this car sideways through these turns.
What kind of car? Just for
This was a...
So was it Renault? I can't remember.
No, it wasn't. It was the Opal.
Oh, the Opal. Yeah,
It was an Opal, right? I believe. But anyway, it's a 4-door sedan.
And he knows all the turns because he's hugged the tree before.
And so this is how the story goes. We're going about 125 miles an hour. I shits thou not. And we go into this corner and he's like, yeah, you know, this car's not bad. Maybe it would have been a Seat, maybe. I don't know. But anyway, but it was a big, you know, it was a 4-door saloon that had some power. So he goes, you know, this car's pretty good. It's not as fast as my Audi. My Audi was fucking fast. And I'm like, well, I'm sure it was. Yeah, but you know, I'm going to show you guys the point up here where last year I hit a tree.
Great.
It's coming up over here.
It's coming up over here as we're going sideways through a turn. And I was like, motherfucker, you hit a tree once. And we're in the car that replaced your better car. This is the one you can afford with the insurance settlement. So we know it's not as good as your Audi. So you failed driving the Audi. How are you going to make it through with the Opel Kadett or whatever the fuck we're in right now? And so he's like, you know, he's moving along. And then we were thinking about tree, like a tree, you know. No, this was one of the giant redwoods. This tree had fallen down across the road in a storm. The tree was gigantic. He earned it. I mean, he probably folded the car in half.
You can see the chips on the fucking side of the tree of the when you hugged the fucking
It's
tree.
a monster. And he was in the hospital for quite some time. So it was a career-ending, life-changing event for him. But while we were there, our roommate, was saying, hey, man, you know, I want souvenirs. I want this. I want that. You know, I want to have an interview with Joey Dunlop. I was well, he's dead. You can't have that. And so there were other things. But he was like, yeah, I want to get a slate. You know, like and he said, I want to get a slate and he was like, yeah, I don't know if and he's literally, the taxi driver was like, I know some people, but I don't think that can happen.
You're not supposed to take
He did get us an interview with Michael Dunlop, but he'd had a particularly bad day, and Oscar and I talked about it, and we were like, you know what? This man's lost his entire family to this racing course. He's had a rough day. I don't think he needs to have the Phil and Oscar experience right now. So we're going to politely back out. And
we said no.
And we didn't even tell our roommate that we'd been given that option because we knew he would have been like, yes, must go harass a guy. So right after this all happened, Oscar and I got this very important, very significant souvenir.
I got one too, yeah.
And so what's really interesting, though, is the number 19. So the number 19, first of all, it was 2019.
Yeah.
And so we had this thing hanging on the wall in our house, you know, that we rented. And it was a pretty cool baller fucking souvenir from the Isle of Man. We'll probably go to jail for it now if the right guy watches the video. Yep. So this number, Daley Matheson runs that number 19. And so Daley Matheson actually moved to live at the Isle of Man so he could be better at racing on the Isle of Man. And Daley Matheson died at the Isle of Man this year.
That year.
So the year that we were there, 2019. He was number 19. And
he was the only person that year that
was
died,
no,
right?
no, there were three deaths.
There was there was at least one other one, but there was a civilian.
Right. Yeah.
On the off days, they were just doing some stupid shit.
So at Snugborough, 3 bikes went into a turn and only can fit 2 bikes. And that's how you die at Isle of Man. Yeah. So he was on a BMW S1000 and he didn't make it out of the turn. He didn't make it through the turn, and his wife and kids and everything else. And at Isle of Man, they have a radio system that covers the whole island. You get a little headset radio, and it says, there's been a bit of an incident at Snugborough. We're going to do a hold. We're going to do red flag. We're going to stop the... Yeah, exactly.
Perfect.
Audio. Perfect. On cue.
I thought you told me not to. Thank you.
Good Foley. And so they said, you know, and so when you're there, you never know. And the thing is, they don't ever say there's been a fatality. They don't ever say there's been a crash. They don't ever say there's, you know, the people from the spectators are in the middle of the road crying.
Stop the
Nothing.
run. That's it.
They just say that they're going to stop. They're going to do a hold, red flag the race, and you never find out. Social media will tell you, because they are so respectful on that island, because family members may be watching, family members may be listening. So rather than put out potentially dangerous information, they don't put out any. They just say there's been an incident, but it was closed down for so long, and the road conditions were bad. It was wet, dry, and it was top of the mountain, could be rainy as shit. Bottom of the mountain, you're getting a sunburn. It was really weird. So having that souvenir that's number 19, which is Daley Matheson's number, being present for it, and that was the day that we had taken the bus and we'd hiked our ass all the way up. We had walked all the way to the Raven, about 5 miles, looking at reconnoitering spots.
Trying to figure out.
One of the places that we walked past was Snugborough. So we walked past the place that later on that day a guy would have died in. Guy died in. So it's really spooky. Like,
did you grab that before?
We grabbed this 2 days before. Yeah. So we grabbed this souvenir 2 days before the incident. And when we saw that it was number 19, that it was Daley Matheson that died, we were like, holy shit.
It just dawned on me, 2019.
2019. So there's a lot of 19s, man. So
well, I'm pretty sure you're exactly the reason that he...
Thanks, Phil.
You jinxed the dude.
There's so many. Look, when you're at the Isle of Man, you will do dumb shit if you go to the Isle of Man. People will say things. You're going to get at the...
I'll do dumb shit anywhere. But
if you go to the Isle of Man, you always think, it's going to be rowdy, it's going to be drunk, it's going to be crazy. You're going to get there, and people are going to tell you about fairies, and you're going to start believing in them, and you're going to leave them gifts.
Yep.
You're going to go to one of two bridges and literally give presents to fairies, because this is a old, pagan thing, and the fairies carry a lot of weight on the Isle of Man. So you don't piss them off, or you respect them. You give them a tribute. You honor them because you don't want any of your friends on motorcycles to die. And this year was the only year that there wasn't a Mad Sunday. And Mad Sunday is usually all you assholes that have motorcycles here. Guess what you're allowed to do? Ride on the track, because it's a one-way road at that time. So when the road's one way, that means it's game on, man. And Mad Sunday is called Mad Sunday for a reason. And that usually costs a few lives. So when you let idiots out there on like Valkyries and shit, there you go.
how does a Valkyrie get to the Isle of Man? I mean, I
John, the shit we saw there, the bikes that rolled up, hand to God, you're like, look at that guy's got fucking Spanish license plates. That guy's got Croatian license plates. That guy's got Russian license plates. These dudes ride these bikes, and the ferries they'll take anything, dude. The ferry will bring it all.
The boat, not the spirit.
Not the flying one, the actual...
Yes,
the floating one.
The floating
one, not the flying one.
Right.
And we saw some kind of, I can't remember the sport bike. We saw a sport bike that had the widest tires I've ever seen in my life on a sport bike. It was ridiculous. It was like anime style. You couldn't have possibly made...
Did it have a New York license plate or New Jersey?
He had put a paper cup on top of the bike, and it said donations for tires.
But
it was obscene.
From everything I've seen in pictures, and then also just the European thing, those guys don't fuck around with race replicas either. Like they like when you're looking down the thing, you're like, oh wow, the race bikes are here, and then you see a plate. It's like a dude's bike. Like they get the rear sets, the whole, everything, just like race bike. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's also the people bring the weird shit out to play. So like day one, we see an Italjet dragster, and I was like, wow. Okay, that's saying something. That's kind of fucking cool. But then as we're going along, yes, it's every kind of motorcycle you can think of in the world, and also the entire production run of Ducati Multistradas.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't know they made that many Multistradas, but every white guy over a certain age within 700 miles of the Isle of Man takes their Ducati Multistrada to the Isle of Man.
And remember all the tricked out CTs that we saw that were doing...
Yeah, absolutely.
Going across the actual island?
Yeah, and we do want to talk about, you guys, podcast listeners, will know that that Liza and the Misfits threw down a challenge. They listed their top 10 motorcycles. Now, keep in mind that story about the Rob Report did of the top 25 motorcycles that we beat to death
that was
10 weeks ago, something like that, maybe something like that. But we did our take on the top 25 motorcycles, where we gave criticism, and if you look it up, you can figure out what podcast that was, and you can listen to it, and it's far better than what Liza did. But
Whoa, Phil, I really couldn't agree more with you on that.
Yeah, I know. But anyway, 25 is a bigger number than 10. So it's at least, it's totally way harder to do 25 than 10.
Times.
It is. It's 2.5 times more fun.
Yeah.
All right. So, but Liza did, and in a very ballsy move at the end of her podcast, Liza was like, we're throwing the challenge out to the Cleveland Moto guys.
After doing a measly 10.
They did 10. Wow. So like literally that's like showing up. Somebody's tapping on the glass. I don't know. I I can wave.
Oh, they have a helmet. It's probably
You think it's Hoff?
It's Hoff. I think it's a Hoff.
Somebody go
Let me go
him
get
in.
it. Oh,
Let him go.
let's get it.
We're coming.
Nick, get out of Hoff's seat.
Oh my God.
So wait. So Liza did a top 10.
Yeah. So
So they probably did it in like 5 minutes, right?
Yeah, they did. It took them about 50 minutes, 51 minutes. Because they said in the last 20 minutes,
Top 10?
30 minutes of their podcast, they're going to do a top 10. So we've got our version. I'm going to let you know. I've got some ideas. I got some suggestions. We're going to, I think what we'll do is I think there was a certain amount of ambiguity on their part. So I think that we can really, if we put our heads together, I'm pretty sure we can do it. Right.
So we're doing that now, or just a teaser?
We'll get to it. We'll get to it. I just want to let people know that I know sometimes people like to know what we're talking about in the podcast.
Okay.
And this is a great opportunity to kind of let people know, hang in there.
So we're never going to get to it.
Teaser. Teaser for 2 shows in a row.
I know sometimes we tease things and we don't actually do them, but this time we'll actually do it. It's okay. We can do that. I've actually had people who are Patreon subscribers that have said, remember
grab a beer.
Remember when you said that you were going to be talking about Ducati and how they got in trouble and everything else?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
No, we didn't say anything about that because nobody knows. Right. I'm going to give you a thing. Yeah, we'd all love to talk about that, but you know who's keeping that shit silent? The courts.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
They
I don't think they're going to. Yeah, they can totally share a microphone. Yeah.
I think we'll be all right.
Yeah, it's probably the least intimate thing you've shared all week.
They share everything.
I'm sorry for being late.
What did you ride tonight?
A monkey.
Yeah, I got to
In the
ride the
rain.
monkey in the rain.
In the rain with shorts.
But see, this is a tradition with my wife and I. Have to watch the NFL draft.
Really?
And
Oh, that's
so-
right.
Goes tonight.
It's in Cleveland.
Yeah, it's in Cleveland. So,
Yep. We're going tomorrow, actually, to the stadium.
oh, nice.
Yeah.
So anyway, it's a tradition. My wife and I have gone to this for like 15 years in a row.
Okay, yeah.
And I'm sorry I'm late, but we had to watch the first like 5 or 6 rounds of the draft.
Well, we're gonna have to dock your pay. So
Oh, yeah.
So did we win?
No, we're like the 26th. We have the 26th pick, so it won't be until like midnight.
Oh, it seems like it's.
So because we're not the worst team in the world, we don't get first pick anymore.
Right.
You know what? I'll tell you. Sounds like a real fucking nail biter.
It's funny though. It's like what I always think is, it's like putting a great engine in a shitty frame, or having a shitty engine in a great frame.
Right.
It's like these guys, these crappy teams, pick like a great quarterback,
Right.
that will get ground into the earth and like destroyed, and they'll never have a good career because they're shitty teams. So if they would pick like a lineman versus a quarterback and let the middle of the road teams pick a quarterback, then they'd have a chance of having a good career. But being the best in the NFL is almost like a curse. Yeah, well, Cleveland did that for several years in a row, used their first round draft pick for a quarterback, and it never worked out for them. Well, until the last one, but that's because they had built the lineup before they got a quarterback. So, I mean, this isn't a football podcast, so I'm sorry.
Well, we rarely talk about motorcycles anyways. So.
But we drank heavily, and we have so much fun because we scream at the screen, and, we boo Roger Goodell because he's a piece of shit, so...
And I mean, and it is sports, and sports are important to people.
Sports, no, it's not really important. It's just like the fact that I'm with my wife is what's important to me.
And that's exactly it. That's the biggest part of it, is literally spending time. And if that's the catalyst that makes it happen, rock on. Hold on a second, you guys. You know what? While people, so our podcast listeners know, we have 900 chords here, but we don't need the one we need. Well, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go get us the one that we need.
hold on.
What?
He might be able to do it.
You think you can do it? You think you can thread the needle on that thing?
feel
All
you.
right, go
Don't
ahead.
unplug the.
Oh, man, yeah, okay. Yeah. All right, there you go. Look at that. Beautiful. Are you sure 3 feet's going to be enough? Are you absolutely certain that 3 feet's going to be enough?
There's no holes in there to be stuck.
Yeah, hold on. Let me fix it
I
right.
think it's okay. Hoffert doesn't.
Hold on,
Yeah,
guys.
he's fine. He's fine.
Literally.
Phil's gonna do it.
Give me 1 minute.
He's gonna fix it.
thing.
So this
Phil
is
has a thing.
yeah. So this is what happens when somebody shows up late after nobody knows they're coming.
So just so you know, Steve, we were starting to get ready to critique. Well, Liza threw down the gauntlet about
you know, what is our 10 best bikes of all time?
Top 10.
Top 10. And we went over her list, and we kind of were like,
Her list is bullshit.
Well, and
She
that's
just copied us from like 100 episodes ago.
Not even. It was like
Eat it.
It was like
Yeah.
it was like 15 episodes ago.
burn.
Oh man.
So-
yeah, you're right. That wasn't that long ago.
No, it was
actually.
right after the Meekum thing when all the people,
Yeah.
all the little 50cc sold for like $5,000 and
so
stuff.
don't sugarcoat it. Tell us how you really feel.
Well, I mean, she did get the first bike right.
There was.
Oh, we disagree.
So one out. No, yeah.
Hey, Oscar, I'm going to hand this to you. See if this improves the situation. I don't know if it will or not.
No.
No, it doesn't. Okay.
You know what? Why wasn't there a BMW, like an early GS in there, which kind of like, or a Transalp that led the trend?
I think we're gonna
So
get
we're
into
getting
it.
ready to take it bike by point, point by point.
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly. Yeah.
And I'm going to need another beer if somebody can
Yep.
maybe.
You want
Exactly.
it? I have an IPA if you want it.
Hey, did John tell you about his experience of getting a hot load at the farm?
Yeah, I want to hear this story.
I don't think he was going to tell us.
You had me at hot load. So,
Well, I mean, go ahead, tell them.
You go tell him.
That's the end of the story.
Well, I went to help Steve, and all of a sudden I ended up with a hot load in my face. Not much more to say. I don't know how I can explain it. We were working. Steve got the tractor, the tree tractor.
Yeah.
tractor.
The tractor with a tree.
So
Right.
we got Sign of Life the day before. Amazingly, he managed to rebuild the carburetor and get it to run.
Wow.
Which I was surprised, but okay, he did it. And then he had already been playing with the hydraulics on the backhoe, and he blew a line. So he blew first.
Okay. All right.
blew a seal?
Got it. Yeah.
So I got a load in my face first.
So he was the first one to get a hot load in his face. But then I arrived on scene.
And
And
he
it's-
wants me to get up there, and he's like, go up there and work those levers. And I'm like, no. I step back like 10 feet. I'm like, you work those levers.
I assessed that you just blew out the right boom piston line.
Yeah.
That if you start the tractor up, your main feed line is still going to the block. As long as you don't use that lever,
it should be
you
fine.
maybe could use the other levers to retract the backhoe, and so we could move the tractor around. I mean, I didn't think it was that dangerous or anything, but so I starts the fucking around. And I'm like, and it has good power. It lifted the whole tractor. You know, at one point I was like, the bucket lifted the whole tractor up. I'm like, see, look, it's working good. Oh, check it out. And then, well, the one wrong lever move, and that fucker, it was instantaneous.
Hot load in the face.
Hot load in the face. The half of my fucking body was covered with, 60-year-old hot, slightly warm hydraulic fluid.
Did you get it in your eyes at all?
Oh,
or no?
totally in my eyeball.
Oh, dude.
I was wearing it. It was dripping off my arm. I'm like, fuck.
But he does look 20 years younger.
It did kind of do good things for my skin. I'm not really complaining about that front.
But we did get the tractor off the race course.
Nice.
That's cool.
Nice.
And
That's
it's
good.
purring
Although-
like a kitten.
Really?
But the Hillbillies did put the BMW 320 on the race course that we have to push off.
And
So,
the dump truck.
yeah, so.
So wait, those are still yours, right?
No, they're mine, but they dragged them over.
Oh, and just shoved
And
them there.
they de-rimmed, like they pulled the tire off the rim of the front of the thing and left it like laying in the dirt.
Oh, wonderful. Nice guys. Thanks, guys.
You could have put a puff of air in that tire before you fucking drug it down the street.
Right.
It's interesting to see well, at first I thought there was a trail of oil, and I thought it was from your vehicles. But then I noticed that the trail of oil starts at Aaron's property, goes to your property, then goes back and forth between your property. So whatever piece of equipment he's using is has a solid 1-inch piss of fucking hydraulic fluid wherever it goes.
But that backhoe has 18 hydraulic lines.
Yeah, so
What
that's
the shit?
Yeah, so I've been pricing it out, and I think what I'm going to do is buy a swager and just build all the lines myself.
Okay. Yeah.
I mean, it
Yeah.
makes sense.
I mean, we were talking a little bit about it at work, and it's basically a tool that it has it's almost like a resizing. It has a thing that goes inside, and then a hydraulic thing that crimps the thing, but you know what I mean? Like, buy the tool, buy a bunch of fittings, buy a box of 2 different sizes of hose. And
what people don't realize is anytime you're working with any kind of a hydraulics, and if you guys are fans of AVE, you'll know it. It's like hydraulics, very simple, but the components to make it work is so fucking expensive. Hoses. Because a hose has to be able to take thousands and thousands of PSI, and the connectors have to be really, really, really good. And it is that's the thing. So if you can make your own hoses, then you're no longer part of that equation.
But you're escaping it. You have to get isn't there some kind of a rating on those hoses? Because they can't pinhole, because a pinhole on one of those could kill somebody, right? Like that could blow.
The ones that are on there now are 3,500 PSI.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh,
and they're half-inch. I mean, it's hard to tell because you can't really measure the ID of a fitting unless you take it apart.
Right.
So I think that they're half-inch and 3/8, but I think there may be 2 3/4-inch fittings on there, but it's hard to determine because the hoses are so old and so degraded that only one hose had any markings on it, and it was 12.5 millimeters, which I assume is half-inch.
Half-inch, yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like that whole thing's going to be a process. We're going to start out, obviously we've got 2 that are blown. We're going to make those 2 first.
Right.
There's 4 or 5 other ones that look like they're fucking gone.
I'm just replacing them all.
Well,
I'm not going to fuck around. I mean,
you shouldn't. Yeah.
Okay, get that done quick.
I'll go to Lemke tomorrow.
But the trick is, once you can make your own hoses,
you're set.
You're set.
Yeah.
I mean,
I think ultimately that's going to be better off because each hose is different, each end is different. It's, you know what I mean? You just need to have like an assortment of hose and stuff and figure it out.
Every dude needs an assortment of hose.
I love that
The
technique.
more hose, the better.
One could argue that every woman needs an assortment of hose.
True.
When I love that technique, I was
That has multiple meanings.
It does.
Awesome.
Absolutely.
Gotta have an assortment.
I was. I'm just gonna abandon that. So talking about hoses and leaks that won't stop because you've got
Leaky hoses.
leaky hose.
I'm sorry.
Would it be leaking gender fluid or?
Gender fluid. There you go. Oh my
Again,
God.
All right.
politically correct
Motorcycles.
gender fluid.
Yeah, gender
Right.
fluid.
But if you are working on your tranny and you got a leak that just won't stop, what you got to do there is if you can't get in there and actually tighten it up enough to make the leak stop, I just learned that what you can do is you can take the female side of the tranny hose or the hose. You take the female one, the one that's got the
The little clippy thingy.
heat it up. And I found this to be fascinating.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
I've been working on shit my whole life. And yes, we have all been there when we're putting anything that's compression-based fitting, so brake lines or whatever on a car. And we put the damn thing in and we snug it up to where we know it's safe and where it should be. And we snug it and that's great. And then you go and you pump up the system and son of a bitch is leaking. Now look, you can't put Teflon tape on everything. There's only a certain number of things in the world you can put Teflon tape on. That is most things. Most things are okay with Teflon tape.
Says you.
I know, exactly. I've been there. I've done that. Teflon tape is great for 99% of things, but when you're working on super high pressure fittings and things that need to be metal to metal.
With a double, like the flare, the
flare,
flaring tool.
exactly.
So like on brake lines, it's a double flare.
Exactly.
And you have to have that special tool to flare the copper. And
Totally. And we know that's sometimes we're going to have a leak that we can't make go away. We've all been there. I've been there. I've tightened it. And if I tighten that thing one fucking goddamn metric cunt hair, one more, what's it going to do?
Fitting.
It's going to strip out and then I'm there forever now, because it's going to go into a casting, of course. So I know that if I over tighten it just one more eighth of an inch on that fucking wrench, I'm going to be buying the whole thing again. Turns out, you take the part that goes on the meaning the part, the thread parts that go on the inside and thread parts that go on the outside.
The gazinda
and the gazada, so to speak, right?
Are you talking the casting or the fitting nut.
I'm
thing.
saying that if there's a part that threads into the part that gets threaded into,
Right.
one would be the male, one would be the female. You take the female one and you heat her up. Because it is true that for every 100 degrees of Fahrenheit, it's 1,000th of an inch per 1 inch in diameter.
Okay.
That's the expansion rate. So yes, if you heat that up to 100 degrees Fahrenheit, and don't do this with your bare hands, do it with gloves on, heat it up, hold it with the vice grips or whatever, get your torch on there, right? Get your torch on there and heat it up to 100, 200 degrees, whatever you want, but don't melt anything. Just get it hot. And then put it together when it's hot. Because then as it cools,
It shrinks.
it shrinks. And like they said, it's real tough on the next guy. But I'm usually the next guy. So it makes the leak go away. And I was fascinated by that.
Never thought
And
about it.
in the military, working on tanks, everything's hydraulics. Our whole world is thousands, 5,000 PSI hydraulic systems. We have nitrogen systems that are 5,000 PSI. And you're running a tank really hard. And when those systems blow, it's spraying super hot. We called it cherry juice, but the hydraulic fluid in a tank. That stuff, when it does go, it goes everywhere and it burns you really badly. And we've had lines that just leaked and leaked and leaked, and we've gotten on and tightened them. And God damn it, if I would have had that trick, heat up the female part pretty good and hot, and then put it on. And then when it shrinks down, it ain't coming off.
I used to work in a composting facility, and you could not breathe without a respirator in there. If you were in there without a respirator for a minute, you would pass out.
Okay.
I mean, that's how bad the atmosphere was in there. And we had these things called rotary breakers, and they were basically mounted on train tracks, and they went through these channels, and the building was like a half mile long, and it rotated and broke up the compost with sludge mixed in with it, and then this table, it was like a metal conveyor that would throw it behind the machine, and all these things did all day was like go along these tanks and break up the compost and throw it behind it. Then when it got to the other end, it would go back and do the same thing. Well, it had 2-inch hydraulic lines. And when those things would blow, like the operator, like you're on top of these machines going down these channels, and they would blow all the time. And when they blew, you were covered from head to toe with that hot oil.
Jeez.
And you had these respirators on, but as soon if it hit your respirator, it would block your air, so you could not get
Breathe,
air through your respirator. And it was, I mean, and the thing's a half mile long, so where are you going to go? I mean, if you're in the middle of it and the thing blows, you're fucked. So I would always carry a couple extra cartridges with me so that I could exchange my cartridges in my mask.
Was anybody monitoring you, or is it just like, oh, fuck him, I haven't seen him in 2 hours, but hopefully he's coming out? Or did like people know that like if
most people were monitored, but Steve mostly was not.
Specifically, yeah.
So one of our podcast listeners, Justin, sent us a
Email?
a message.
Oh.
Okay. And
Let's call it a suggestion.
yeah, and he's really cool. He's in a band called the Ne'er-Do-Wells. He's out of PA, Southern PA, and just a really super cool guy. And but anyway, he sent this message, and it was pretty funny because he's like, okay, he says, first of all, grumpy sewer guy, he needs a windshield on the Cub. He says, you can put a windshield on that Cub. It'll zip along at 62 to 64 miles per hour with a mid-sized GV. Looks stupid, works good.
I don't believe that.
Well, he's a big dude.
I do.
Here's what I will tell you.
Aerodynamics 100%.
Yeah.
yeah, my 135 went about 4 or 5 miles up when I put the windscreen on.
And Justin's a big guy.
Really?
So if Justin's on a Super Cub and he picks up that, like, Justin's probably your size. So that might work out great for you.
Think about it.
Yeah.
You're like a parachute behind the.
Well, yeah,
Super
but-
Cub 120, the 125?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I was thinking of my 70,
yours,
and I have a big windshield on my 70, and it'll do like 45.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
No, I mean, I was thinking, like, I put windshields on any bike I've ever owned, and it typically just makes it slower.
So I will give you guys a crazy.
It depends.
Yes, and here's the crazy thing. When I know this is hilarious because invariably we turn shit back into a scooter podcast. But when the Buddy first came out, there was these guys that were doing like the Voodoo Buddy. Like everybody was trying to make a Buddy faster. And guys were really quickly putting $3,000 of hop-up shit from Taiwan onto a bike that cost less than $3,000. But yeah, Dustin was famous for that. You know, Dustin, everyone was like the elusive 80-mile-an-hour Buddy. Well, it goes 70 out of the box. Like, I mean, so an extra 10 miles an hour, right?
And when you actually hit 70 on a Buddy, it's not fun. It's scary.
It's a bit scary.
Yeah. It's a tiny
And
bike.
so right off the
noodle.
tick, one of the first things that we said was with the Buddy was you just put a medium-sized windshield on it. Because what you're saying is right. Any windshield, I mean, hate to say it, even something aerodynamically bad is going to be better than this.
Yeah.
And so I found that with the medium-sized windshield on the Buddy, that it was real easy to pick up 5 miles per hour.
Well, that's,
Like,
I think
it made no, yeah.
you nailed a really good point.
Yeah.
So to your point too, Nick, at the same time, a small to medium,
Yeah.
it might not be comfortable for you, the rider. Like you're getting blasted in the puss or
Yeah.
like in your thing, but it's still giving you that extra bit of aerodynamics. But I think there's a trade-off where like if you start to get really big, then it becomes just you're
Well,
pushing.
and also I think in my case, I was in a full tuck anyway.
That's what I was going to say. Yeah.
So adding a big freaking piece of
It's not gonna
plastic
do
is
anything.
not going to help.
Regular riding, yes, it would it would improve. But yeah, if you're not in the tuck,
Yeah, there's a reason that MotoGP doesn't run giant windscreens.
That's true. That's true.
Well, I found this out in a very odd way. So I had a Ruckus, which is one of the slowest bikes in the entire world.
Can confirm. Yeah.
I mean,
Right
it's
there
got
with
a
you.
good engine, but it's just slow.
Look, it's adorable looking. Everyone loves the look of a Ruckus. But I should wear one on my left foot and one on my right foot, and I'll be good.
Right.
Because the Ruckus is like, that's going to be fun. I'm going to have fun riding that. That looks like it's going to be a good time. And as Pete told us the one year, it is the perfect bike for Mud, Ohio. Not Mid Ohio, Mud, Ohio.
Is it the motor or the gearing?
Well, what he said, the reason it was the perfect bike for Mud, Ohio, is it didn't have enough horsepower to spin the back tire in the mud.
But he did jump not a ramp on it.
Yes.
True.
Good air too.
This is the Ruckus 50, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
This is the little Ruckus.
Yeah,
the
it's
big
50
Ruckus-
cc, but I mean, but the reason I found out that aerodynamics are everything is that okay. So I was doing my plants and I put a cooler on the front. They had that little tiny rack, and I put my little Oscar on the. I had my little Oscar, but I wanted to carry something, so I zip tied not zip tied, but a bungee corded my little Oscar on the front of my thing. That just having a little Oscar there to smooth it out just a hair, raised the top speed 5 miles an hour.
Well, the shape of the Ruckus is
It's not very aerodynamic.
aerodynamic at all. It's flat.
I had 11 and a half hours to figure out aerodynamics every time I rode the Lake Erie Loop. Now, my MO was to put a stupid little MGO fairing on the front of the bike
Yep.
and then tuck all 300 pounds of me behind this little tiny fairing.
That's
But I can
exactly right.
tell you that every little thing counts. I mean, it got down to the point where I would be laying on the tank, I would be holding my elbows in, or trying to keep them in plane behind my hands so that the air could
shape,
flow. Like just playing around with your whole little thing and how you hold even putting your head down a little bit or up a little bit. And you could watch miles per hour, RPMs going up.
John
and
was
down.
getting the triathlete, the helmets with
the
the
helmet.
big.
Oh, yeah, the teardrop.
We're only talking about the windshield. That's up in front, but that whole thing that happens behind you.
Yeah.
I would hump my back up a little bit, and you could feel it just to try to get the air to run right over me and straight down my back and straight through the it makes a big difference.
That's
Bernoulli
why.
was a genius.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
But see what I think, that if you had two rods sticking out in front of you, like maybe 4 feet in front of you.
We only have one.
Yeah.
Well, it's called a nose cone. With
No, but I'm just saying.
It's like the shock cone from an SR-71
No, but I mean,
Blackbird
like-
engine.
Or the dustbin bikes
Yeah.
from the early racing days.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, if you had something that was stuck out 4 feet in front of you, just a small little, even if it was like a 4-inch square area, or like a 6x6 piece of
cone.
wood in front of you.
a disc, a plate.
it would disrupt the air enough that you don't have this laminar flow that's grabbing onto you the whole time. And then you'd have turbulent flow, which is like a golf ball. I mean, like a golf ball has all these little holes so that you induce turbulent flow over the surface of the ball. So what if you had this thing stuck out 4 feet in front of you, I think you would induce turbulent flow around you, and you wouldn't get this like grabbing onto you.
So if you're like going to race somebody, you run over, you grab a broomstick, and you get a big slurp cup and stick it to that, and you stick it on the front of your bike, so it's like a cup in the front that it makes a.
The picture up there, the picture I just put up on the screen,
the old dustbin
is the 1955 Motoguzzi V8. So it's a V8 motorcycle, but it is. Yeah, but it's a V8 and it's only 500 cc's. Okay, so but this bike was made illegal because of that. So because of those dustbin fairings, made these bikes have amazing speed, but they were kind of weird in the turns. And when people started dying, they made that go away.
Because it probably produced low pressure on one side.
Yep. And so that's it. When you lean the bike,
crosswinds, I think.
Right.
Probably.
So yeah.
Well,
I mean, if you turned your Cub into a streamliner, who knows how fast it would go? I mean, you literally could do.
So that bike was clocked at 178 miles an hour in 1957.
with 500 cc's.
500 cc's.
Wow.
Right.
I said it once. I've said it 1,000 times. We've not really come that far.
So, and if you look at the picture, John will be happy because there's 8 sets of points there. So there's 8 sets of points there. Yep. Yeah. Look at those lifters.
Not a problem. I love it. Look at that. I just want to roll in it.
Dude, rub your nipples less. Less nipple rubbing, please.
I want to touch my tongue to each set of those points.
That's 500 cc's, right? That's 500 cc's. That's a V8. Okay. 178 miles per hour. 12,500 RPM.
What are we looking at there? Is that
this is a Motoguzzi V8?
But
that's how I want to die. I want to throw myself into that motor.
Is that mechanical fuel injection?
So, boy, that's a damn good question, isn't it?
It looks like a mechanical.
It looks like a mechanical fuel injection.
Yeah.
Sure does, because that's a fuel line going right into that thing. Yep. And that certainly is.
Wow.
And what I think is really great about this is one of my favorite things about this concept or this machine, 75 horsepower, 12,500 RPM in 1957 with an uncountable number of moving parts.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, that, I'm going to go ahead and just bring in a picture. This is the motor blow up. I mean, you guys look this up. It's a Motoguzzi V8. It's a staggeringly amazing motor.
That's cool.
And when you kind of look at the way it was built, you look at the way, the idea, a V8 with 500 cc's, that's incredible. But that's a whole
Pistons
bunch.
are what, about like that
Fucking
big?
tiny. Yeah.
They're 50 cc's. I mean, math it out.
I mean, Hondas in the 60s were doing 250s with 6 cylinders.
6 cylinders, 250s, exactly. So, like, when we think about the amount of technology that was happening in 1957 and in the 60s with the RCs, with those multi-cylinder 250s, 6-cylinder 250s, that shit's amazing.
22,000 RPM.
Yes.
Well, they couldn't use it. They couldn't use any kind of electronic ignition because only points would work. Like,
correct.
In 1907, Glenn Curtis built a 269 cubic inch V8. Mm-hmm. How fast did he go on the beach at Daytona?
104 miles an hour.
In 1907, by the way. No, 136 miles an hour.
Wow. On a beach?
1907?
On sand?
On sand.
Yeah.
Sand.
It's amazing.
What?
That has to be
In,
some tags. That has
in
to be some tags,
1907, that motorcycle is in the Glenn Curtis Museum up in Hammondsport,
Isn't
New
that
York.
amazing?
Yeah, that's crazy.
I really got to say, I mean, that's the coolest thing in the world. When I was lucky enough to be next to one of these Motoguzzi V8s when they fired it up, and its experience, the noise was epic.
Yeah. That was a 500cc, you said?
Yeah, 500
That was
cc.
probably built for like a 500cc class.
This
V8, yeah.
This broke the class.
Yeah, well, you got to
Yeah.
think. It's like, well, if you can't go up in displacement,
Right.
you got to go up in revs.
Right.
So.
On 12,005 will get the job done. Yeah, 12,005.
At every advancement like that with racing, like when the 500 two-strokes started killing everybody, so they decided to get rid of them, there's a certain level where they get so fast or so gnarly that they have to move on from it,
Yeah.
There's a really good documentary about that. It's like Taming the Beast or something like that, and it goes through all the guys that rode the 500cc superbike, things. And the guy said on a good day, it was the most amazing thing ever. On a bad day, you almost died. Because there was the power band was so ridiculous. It was just hit, miss, like it's nuts, man.
It's just, I mean, we don't really give enough, give enough props to the people that went really fucking fast before us on tires that were barely vulcanized.
Right.
You know,
completely unsuitable for going that speed.
Gee, what do you think the speed rating was on those tires?
35 miles an hour.
Exactly.
That's how fast I would want to go.
They stole them
out.
off the neighbor's bicycle.
Right.
It was the same tire for the bicycle and the motorcycle.
Well, they want a thinner tire to go
Right.
faster.
Yeah.
So was there any other comments from the
Yeah,
email?
so
Okay, so may I thank the listener for giving me the idea of putting a fairing on my Super Cub.
exactly. And
I didn't acknowledge that, and I'm
No,
sorry.
that's what I was going back
No,
to
you're
the
good.
email.
I think it's a really good idea.
Yeah, no, it's a great idea, and I'm going to try it.
Yeah. And I think there's no doubt about it. Give it a shot, because now you've been doing some empirical research, and we want to talk about that because, again, in our podcast, we talk about things all the time as we buy different bikes and everything else. Not long ago, you bought a Kymco Spade because you wanted to be faster than Sleepy,
Right.
right?
Right, and that
I mean, hey, gauntlets were thrown. Gauntlets
Right.
were thrown. I mean, there was some mad shit talked around this
I
table.
know, and I noticed that bike is now in your shop over here.
No, that's a totally different one. I ordered it in special. No, there was another.
okay,
I got a
okay,
deal.
okay.
I made a special order, and it was fine. We just got another one.
Okay, cool.
No, that has no resemblance at all to the one that Steve bought. Not at all.
So we're
Totally
still
different bike.
racing, right? Like
That's
in
a
a week?
brand new demo
It's a
model.
brand new demo model. It's got a rack put on and everything. It's totally dialed in. Yeah, it's great. What happened there, Steve?
no, I actually do love riding that bike, but Kymco says that it gets 94 miles to a gallon, and no matter what I could do,
Is that an imperial gallon?
it must be like I don't know how they were figuring. It must be, per 2 gallons, because I could not exceed 50 miles per gallon on that bike.
94
And-
miles per gallon per 2 gallons. That's the
per tank, not per gallon.
And you had
94
said,
kilometers per gallon?
even at varying speeds. So that wasn't maximum throttle at 70 mile an hour. Even when you turned it back, dialed it back, and tried to just do 50 or 55 on it, and try to do a little hypermiling, you still weren't returning.
Correct. And so what I try to do, so the Monkey and the Super Cub get about roughly 100 miles to a gallon. Mm-hmm. I mean, give or take, it depends on how, I mean, the Monkey will get 95 if you're full throttle the whole day. I mean, it'll get 95 miles to a gallon. So with a 1.5 gallon tank, you get about 140 miles.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So Kymco advertised that bike is getting 94 miles to a gallon. So I figured with a 1.6 gallon tank, I would get 140 miles to a gallon. So that's fine. And where I ride, there's sometimes you're 100 miles between gas stations.
Yeah, we know this.
Yeah, as you know, because you and Dan ran out of gas.
Right.
And the Monkey did not. So I've done everything I could. Like I rode it at full throttle, and I got 80 something miles out of the gas tank. I rode it at 55, not even going to full throttle, like babying the thing, doing 30 to 55, and so the final straw was I was doing this like slow speed, keeping it to monkey speed.
Wait. So to test it fairly, you only requested the performance of the Spade that you would expect from the Monkey.
Exactly.
Well, let me ask you this.
Which is fair. I think that's a fair comparison.
Absolutely.
Because, it has 5 more cc's. So, I get it. It's going to use more fuel.
Yeah.
And it's got supposedly 50% more horsepower, which you would expect than the bike to get 75 miles to a gallon, not 50 miles to a gallon.
Okay.
But let me ask you this. When you picked it, was it ever here and Phil got to ride it first?
Nope.
No?
No, I never rode it.
Oh, because I was going to say, because remember the trick, like to ground out the because it's fuel injected, right?
Yeah.
Because if you
No, it had 0 miles on it. when I
Okay,
got
all right.
it.
So
So, I mean,
every now and
it
then-
was
Yeah.
accustomed
Because
to,
it might have
to
learned
my
Phil.
style riding.
you know, if Phil took it out, it's going to be the whole
exactly.
time.
Right. So, I mean, the bike was accustomed to my style riding.
Okay. All right.
So the last straw was I was riding home on 2 days ago, right?
Yeah.
2 days ago. And I had my zero was here, so I was going to come and pick up my zero. And the each shit light came on at about 75 miles, 75, 76 miles. I was like right at the intersection of like 10 and where it turns into 480. I get to Grayton Road, pull into the park, bone dry. So it's got a 6 mile reserve on it. And you know, every Honda that you ever have ridden is super pessimistic. Optimistic? Would you call it optimistic? It's got a half gallon, you know, or a gallon. Like my Africa Twin is a gallon reserve. The Monkey and the
If that bike has a 1.5 gallon gas tank, I would think the reserve should be
0.5.
0.5 or at least 0.25.
It's
But
0.25, right?
6 miles
6
wasn't even
miles.
Yeah.
And it was bone dry. And I'm sitting in the park and I call my wife and she's like, "You're a fucking asshole." like
Tell
why
us
don't you
something we
put
don't know.
why don't you put gasoline in it? I have to come. I have to come and bring you a gas can.
Well, let's do some
You
trading.
say, look, woman, you know all
I'll give
the
you
shit
some
I've done
bikes.
for you.
Because I want to get my wife on a shifting bike. So, you know, we'll talk a little bit. We'll do some stuff. You know.
No, but I mean, I like the bike. I like the layout of it. I like the fact that you could slide back in the seat. It looks so cool. I mean, and the
paint job.
The paint
like the
job
paint
is
job.
unbelievably nice. But it just, to me, if I'm riding up in New York, what am I going to do? I mean, I
The
have to
roto
put-
packs, dude. They're $50.
No, well, that's what I'm saying. I have to add a tank to a bike that should be getting 140 miles to a tank. I mean,
So,
I don't know. It's just like when I lose faith in something, it's like,
well, here's
you're
the
dead
thing.
to me.
Good news, Steve. You're not wrong and you're not crazy because there's a website called Fuely.
Oh, yeah.
So Fuely.com is a repository for people who have tested various motorcycles and come up with their own things. And you're absolutely right. Kimco does advertise this bike as having an estimated fuel consumption, depending on which article you read, of either 91 or 94 miles per gallon. Okay, which is not out of line for a 150cc
And
fuel injected
Steve is a
bike.
very efficient rider.
Absolutely, when he wants to be.
Steve cares more
Absolutely.
about fuel economy than horsepower.
There you go.
Right.
So all that being said, Fuely, so the results of the Fuely test, this is a broken bike tested over 1,000 miles, 14 fuel ups, averaged 64.7 miles per gallon. That is a full 50% lower than advertised. Okay. So, I mean, that's a pretty dramatic, or at least in this case, working the numbers backwards, 33.5% lower than advertised. And yeah, so this gentleman's test of this bike does show out and does bear out that their best tank of gas that they ever got was 68 miles per gallon. And their worst tank of gas they ever got was 60 miles per gallon. So very interesting to look at these numbers.
Do you know who loves this fucking website? Like there's guys that like just every NCX 500 owner or 750 owner, 700 owner, like they're on the, oh dude, I got 91.7. It's like see how there's like 20 entries on here?
Yeah.
If you look up the NC 700,
9 million entries.
Yeah, it's
exactly. Right. Yeah, this is a site for people who like to nerd out and nerd out hard over minutia. But for real, this does tell it. So this is a big thing. When you have a manufacturer who's advertising a bike that says it gets 91 miles per gallon, here's one thing I'll tell you. There's no doubt in my mind that if you ride this bike Mumbai style, right, you can get 93 miles per gallon out of it. Absolutely.
At 30 miles an hour.
Turn the bike off when you get to red lights, right? Coast up, fire it up to pull away, short shift the shit out of it. We know that little motors, when you drive them to beat the Vetter Challenge, can get crazy good MPG. Now, is it fair to advertise something like that as being the vehicle's normal MPG? Now, about the fuel capacity, they say the fuel capacity on that bike is 1.6 gallons. It is a small tank. Now,
Which doesn't bother me because I've ridden a Super Cup, with 1 gallon tank.
right, exactly.
And I understand that you're going to run out of gas under 100 miles. Like around 100 miles.
Yep.
And that's fine with me. And I can get it. But can I get 100 miles, please?
Exactly.
If I can get 100 miles, then I'm okay.
Right. Yeah.
But I'd be curious to see what this Fuelie site says about monkeys. Because I can lay into that monkey. As both of you guys know, we were running them at full throttle the whole time.
Maximum potential.
And you both ran out of fuel, and you had bigger gas tanks than me. And I went all the way back to the house. I got 2 gallons of fuel to fuel you guys up to get you back home, and I still had fuel left in that bike.
Yeah, you did.
I just gotta say real quick that Fuelie is the reason that I sold my CB750.
Is it really?
Because I couldn't live with a motorcycle that had worse fuel economy than my car.
It's true, man. That's true.
But I don't own a Fiat anymore, so that's not a problem.
just remember that when you guys are out, like 2 or 3 of you, and you're all riding your motorcycles and getting fantastic gas mileage, when you add it all together and then divide it, you're basically getting like 10 miles to the gallon.
Absolutely.
All 3 of you,
Well, unless I'm
you
on
should have just jumped in a car if you were.
if I'm on one of my Suzukis, I have to pay a carbon credit. I think they get like 33 miles to the gallon. They're terrible, man.
Yeah, we've thought about that before. There were several times when my wife would go out and we'd go for a honk together. And I'd be riding my Super Hawk, my VTR 1000, which might technically get the worst miles per gallon of any production motorcycle. I have gotten under 25.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah.
Under 25. Bad. So there's your monkey. So I pulled you. Hey, Steve, I just pulled up your monkey.
Ooh, I thought I found something tickling.
Dude, look at that. Look at that shit. Dude, 111 miles per
What
gallon.
is up with that bar graph?
That bar graph is freaky because it's number of vehicles. Yeah. So that's number of vehicles. So what we've got here is when you have that sort of a bar graph, you've got not nearly enough vehicles participating in it. So, but yes, over 1,366 miles tracked, what do we have? Well, we've got a pretty wide spread between 85 and 111. And then, so there's different monkeys of course, based on the annual, because the monkey's been out for a couple of years. So we're seeing a 103 average, a 91.4 average, and a 109. I'd say that 109 one is probably... Who the fuck is that?
Me.
This is the fucking sound guy.
Man.
This is the fucking sound guy.
Fuck you,
Burping
Steve.
into the goddamn mic. How many times have I been corrected about fucking picking my nose on the fucking and you're gonna burp into the mic.
Well, but the boogers
Fuck
are on video, though.
Fuck you.
Snuck up on me, man.
So you honestly say like about 100 miles an hour. If you average all those together,
Yeah.
you get about 100.
Yeah, I think that's right.
And I can honestly say that at full throttle, I will not get anything under 90 miles to a gallon on that thing. At full throttle, like for an hour.
Versus, it said like 64 for the Spade.
Right.
Oh, I like this shit. So this person, whoever filled this one out, this guy's just smoking crack. This guy pulls
30.
Look, this guy pulls. He claims to have traveled 8,500 miles, 8,535 miles, and he literally over 4. So this is over 4 vehicles, and 130 miles per gallon.
Well, he's full of shit.
Well,
Average speed of 37 miles per hour.
Right. And I am a big fan of throw out the high one, throw out the low one.
Yeah.
Right. And so you throw out the high one, you throw out the low one. What are you at? You're 116. You know, 116, 120. So no shit. That monkey is insanely fuel efficient.
Yeah.
You know, it really is. That's
But it also is not. It's 12 miles an hour slower than the Spade.
Well,
So I mean, you get that. I mean, it takes a lot more power to go that extra 12 at the top.
Right.
It takes way more.
way
more energy.
Right. Do you know who's not worried about fuel economy? The fastest guy in the room.
Right.
Right. I mean, that's the history of automotive racing, the history of internal combustion engines. If the first solution is always you want to make it go faster, throw gas at the problem.
Yeah.
And that's it. And the second somebody goes, oh, you want to make your SSR 125 faster? Carburetor.
Perfect example of that. I just saw a video the other day where they showed the fuel consumption, because they had like a clear fuel filter for a top fuel dragster. It's fucking nuts, dude. It's like 10 gallons per fucking 10 seconds. It's like,
of course.
it looks like somebody's draining a lake
Right.
into this. It's insane.
You get to drink from the fire hose.
And you guys don't. Somebody keep an eye on the time for us, just casually.
1 hour and 8 minutes.
Okay, good, because we don't want to run long, because we do want to do a top 10.
We have
like
to
you
do
said,
the top 10.
we're gonna do a top
I
10.
already forgot about it.
Let's dive into that motherfucker right
We
now.
want, hold on. Like I said,
This fuel thing is kind of good, though.
30 minutes. I'd say we could probably rip through the top 10 in 30 minutes or something. We just don't want to run long because
Kromke, I need a beer stat.
we have been,
Beer me.
Anything.
The
We-
stats say
Dealer's
that
choice.
I'm out of beer. No.
No! Podcast is done. And on that note, drive.
John, try to put your face hole in front of the mic a little more because you're all.
Look, things were good.
Oh, that's nice.
That's so
Holy
nice.
shit!
Your
Oh my
radio
God.
voice is. You sounded like a nasally tin can sitting over there.
I know, but Hoffert showed up, so I'm sharing the mic.
You guys can, just kiss a little more.
I mean,
That noise that sounded like somebody putting a lid on a plastic, like the world's cheapest plastic jar.
My bad.
That was
didn't do
Oscar
that.
stroking his fucking dead cat, like stroking his muff.
I know. And
And what I can tell you guys is, okay, I don't know what it is, but I've become sensitive to certain sounds.
it happens.
Okay. Oh,
Not
that's
that
good.
one.
No, that was good.
No,
Don't.
Jesus Christ.
okay. What if you do it the right way, though? Like I was.
No.
Go ahead. I'll allow one.
Well,
was
I was
lame.
doing like a nice little beat.
No,
That's the wrong side. This side was free, and it was doing
guys,
that.
hold on. Ready? Okay, and I'm gonna launch one ping.
There we go.
Let there be one ping. Okay,
That's pleasing to me, though.
That's good.
No.
Not to you.
okay.
It hurts.
When he's plucking the tines on his comb. When you're stroking your fucking spit. Oh. Okay.
My thing is, I just don't want to.
Oh, yeah, cool.
Fuck it, dude. I'm out.
I'm glad that we have the headphones so that I can make sure you don't hear me breathing, because that's. And I heard him breathing a little bit. That's why I moved the mic away.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
I don't want to hear fat man.
Well, then here's the thing, though. You're hearing
Did you bring
it
your
raw.
CPAP machine?
Yeah.
I gate it. So when you're not talking and just breathing, that's not enough sound to come into the mix.
I try to move him away from it so you don't hear me breathing.
No, but you won't. You won't hear it in the final. I'll gate that
Didn't you
out.
just launch one of those?
No,
he did.
Oh, he did. Okay, right. I was like, God damn, Nick's throwing him back over there.
I've got a collection.
Young man can drink.
Is it on? Because, I mean, we can do this.
No.
Hey.
Go get the funnel.
No.
See, you know what my favorite thing of this whole thing is that Nick has that really sexy skinny leather jacket, but he's drinking like us.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
you got
yeah.
about 6 to 8 months left to wear that jacket.
So here's the thing. My wife, of all people, really wants to have a kegger.
What?
She's got this thing in her head that she wants to have a kegger. She's like, I want to have a keg, and I want it to be like maybe like a college or just like a big party with a keg.
At the compound.
Podcast.
Well, I don't know that she wants it to be, but she wants to have a kegger bad with like fucking funnels and like, I'm like,
But
I'm
she,
all
she
for it.
doesn't necessarily want it to be motorcycle related.
I don't think she wants it to. I think she wants it to be at our house. I don't. She's not.
We can go to your house. Make a podcast over there.
If that happens, you're all invited to the kegger,
Yeah.
and I'm going to secretly have more than one keg ready. Does
your wife-
Every kegger that I've ever had involved me going back and getting at least 2 more.
So, John, I've got a jockey box that has 2 taps on it for CO2 driven, and the club has a 5-tap one if we want to go all out.
And get a hookah there, too.
I mean, if a 2 or 3 block radius of my neighborhood of Lakewood just turns into fucking, what's the movie where like the
Van Wilder.
Yeah, where the fraternity moves in next door, like that'd be awesome.
Old school, because it's a bunch of old dudes running down the street naked.
My boy Blue.
Restrictions is a gymnasium.
Does your wife want parts of your house to smell like an old locker room and vomit?
I don't think she really fully understands.
Okay, because here's what I can tell you. As the provider and the host and the cleanup crew for many keggers, what I can tell you is the one thing that's consistent for every single one of them, whether I was 16, 26 or 46 is the smell that doesn't go away.
Well, what I said to her is, I mean, how do you feel about dudes smoking bong hits up in Piper's room?
Right.
John's going streaking.
What's your favorite room of this house? Somebody's gonna fuck in it.
Frank the Tank.
What's
Ooh, get a pull out. Get the
I'll
pull
tell
out.
you
Back.
this.
We have our pool. We'll have
put it
a
out?
pool.
Yeah, put-
I would say this: any motorcycle keys you have, put in a safe and somewhere far away, dude.
Car keys too.
Ooh, the Corvette.
Fuck, I don't give a fuck. It's, you know what? It's 2021.
do you know the best place to have
Live and let die.
the best place to have
I'm really ready to let anything. I'm like, go ahead. Fuck it.
the best place to have a kegger is an outdoor pavilion, hopefully close to a body of water, because then people always have a place to puke and pee.
Yeah.
So if you can have an outdoor pavilion next to a pond, or better yet, a lake, a big lake.
Lakewood Park.
Yeah.
So you're saying the compound then?
The compound, pond, keg, like pond, or you need a large body of water.
There'd be 9 people in the fucking shit.
Because otherwise,
So they can go in like lemmings.
yes, they can go in like lemons. Exactly.
You talked about the puppy in the cage. I'm like, I don't care what kind of fucking party it
Exactly.
is. Fuck, if you burn down half of my house, fuck it. It's cool, man.
I'm
like,
gonna tell you, like the shit's
Hell
getting
yeah.
weird out there, man.
Let
Shit's
it
getting
rip.
weird. That's why
I want a bunch of people outside getting fucked up and having a good time.
Pickle Rick.
I'm a little scared for. I mean, not joking around.
it's mini
I'm a
Rick
little bit
then.
scared for the Distinguished
mini
Gentleman's Ride
Little Rick?
because
Tiny Rick.
Tiny rig. Sorry.
it's okay. We can have 2, 3, 4 conversations. It's okay. Audio guys, fucking sound guys. All right, so.
Fuck.
But
man.
you think about it, we're doing the DGR thing, and the DGR thing is like, that's going to be people's first dose of not captivity.
Yeah. When is that?
23rd, May 23rd.
May 23rd. So it's coming up real
That
fucking
is.
quick, right? So yeah, people are like, oh, well, you know, you guys going to have a chase truck? Fuck no, I'm not going to have a chase truck. Are you kidding me? Why would I encourage anyone to not be able to make the ride?
Well, last year we did, and I used it,
Yep.
but that's not to say that we will in the future.
I guess the idea behind not having a chase truck would be making people think 2, maybe 4 times about whether or not they should bring that bike or not. You know, to me, having a chase truck is like, if I end up in the rear with the gear, it's not such a bad thing, except for,
There's always
rear
a
with the
chase
gear.
truck. It just might not be official. I mean,
Maybe
if you've
if-
raked down somehow, some way,
if
somebody's gonna
Triumph
figure out.
wants to do a chase truck, we've scraped people off the ground before.
Triumph needs his chase truck.
No, that's, I mean, look.
Oh,
wait, I was going to say.
Not in the most of the brand new ones.
They very graciously had their Dodge, whatever
It is a
van.
Sprinter van. Yeah, they're Ram van. They're
Don't call it
ProMaster.
Sprinter.
Their Fiat Ducato.
They're Ducato. Exactly.
Yeah.
Wow. Good job. Yeah.
Oh, I'm a Fiat guy.
Yeah,
so
that's exactly
Of course,
it.
I know that Dodge vans are Fiats. So
Yes.
Oh, hey, I saw that you got the most important part of a Fiat added to your car this last week.
the tow hook.
The tow hook.
I designed that part.
Oh, very nice.
I was trying to make it into a product.
Laser cut.
What?
Laser
laser
cut?
cut. Yeah.
Yeah, very nice. Yeah, that's not like, okay, I'm hosting DGR. So, of course, the original plan for my hosting DGR was for us to meet at Edgewater Park because what? Social distancing. It's out in the wind, right?
Wind.
It's out in the wind. There's plenty of room. Social distancing for all my friends. Nobody would have to be next to each other at all at Edgewater Park. Perfectly cool. They do have a concession stand, but I don't know how open it's going to be.
It may not even be open because now they're closing Edgewater. They're closing Merlin's Wharf
Are they really?
because they cannot find anybody to work, which is insane to me.
I'm sorry. Do you mean work as staffing?
Work as
the food
staffing.
service?
Right.
Okay. So that's the thing. So we have to take that into consideration. That might be a fucking location killer. But many
Nobody wants to give up their unemployment for $10 an hour.
could be. But one of the other things that we're having a problem with is a lot of people are saying, fuck that. We don't care about social distancing. Let's make it the way it always has. Let's start it at Porco. Let's end it at Porco and have motorcycle riding in between. And I'm like, okay, guys, remember how many people were lying, sick, drunk, passed out under motorcycles at the end of the event last year or the year before?
That's right.
And the point is, we acquire a fucking body count. And do you know what none of us have right now? Tolerance.
Yeah.
So just end it at Porco.
So
It starts at Porco. You go around the block. You park back at Porco.
right.
You're done.
there are certain discussions being had right now about the way for us to approach it, because I honestly am saying some of us have not been keeping our riding muscle or our drinking muscle
Oh,
or
the
two
drinking muscle is way up.
It's the mixture of the two is the issue. I think
Yes.
it needs to be a riding event or
Right.
it needs to be a drinking event.
Exactly.
It can't be both.
And that's where I'm getting a little bit concerned. And you guys will all know I don't ever do a ride unless there's 3 lubrication stops along the way. And that's normal. But what I'm concerned about is the Jack Russell Terrier concept of being like, whoa, and it turns into a rager. And then it's like, instead of having a cocktail before getting on the bikes and going, it turns into having 3.
My buddy's father, who was a lieutenant for New Jersey Port Authority Police and everything,
Yeah.
he had a saying. He said, you can kill a $20 buzz with a 50-cent hot dog.
Yeah.
I think as long as you have a decent amount of food there, that people lay in a drink, but they lay in some good food, it'll keep people from getting too fueled up.
That's a good idea.
That's
It's a very good idea. So maybe having it somewhere that food's a real good option is a good idea.
So, did you notice when you sign up on the website for DGR, it's limiting us to
Yes.
110 riders,
It
I
is.
think?
It is.
Oh shit! What are we up to?
Over 60.
Over 60.
Sign up.
Oh shit!
over
Yeah,
60.
fuck,
Yeah.
sign
I
up.
need to do that.
Holy
It's like
crap!
I might be out for it because I think it's my operating week and my wife is going to Florida.
Okay. There you go. Uh-oh. Bum, ba-da, bum, ba-da, bum, bum. So, but yeah, it does limit us to 110
I gotta work
riders.
at my shitty job.
What I might do though is I might go in there and see if I can flex that a little bit and change that.
Just make 2 rides.
I would like
Change it something
Switch
else.
with somebody.
I'd like to look at former years' performance numbers
What's up?
and see what we're actually getting in turnout, because I can tell you based on some photographs that we had from Porco, some Google Earth spy satellite photos that went by, because we had that parking lot fucking full. We'll see, kind of get an idea how many people were actually there, because there's that whole like, it doesn't cost you anything to sign up. So you're going to have some people that aren't
That's
really
true.
vetted.
Yeah.
And the last one, I don't think it was even the biggest one. Some
No,
of
it
the, like the
wasn't.
first and second ones that
We've
we did
been
were-
bigger.
are
Yeah.
really big.
We've been bigger. And there's pluses and minuses to being bigger.
Could be a bigger turnout because it didn't really happen last year.
Right.
Well,
I can tell you that some girls just don't like it bigger. Just
You've never heard that.
no. You've only heard that from...
no, I read an article.
You said you wouldn't tell them, man. I told you in privacy you had to bring that shit up.
Vutera ist better.
I think that probably this year, I'm going to take a look at the route again and we'll figure it out. But I think that it would be smart to do food at the beginning and food at the end for sure. Absolutely. And then maybe we know that we have historically, in 10 years of doing this, we have always had rides that were really fucking long. I mean, I enjoy a nice long ride, no matter what I'm wearing. So that's my tendency has always been to make the rides kind of long. So maybe if we make the ride a little shorter but more interesting, that kind of thing. So we'll see. So that's a good observation. Something to really consider.
I found a website that sells waterproof English tweed suits.
What? Holy shit! I mean that's pretty cool. I hope that because it is, of course, not in September. So in the interest of weather in Australia, they moved it from their most sketchy season, because I guess the year before last, the last time they ran it, everybody got a wet ass.
Oh, is that why they moved it?
Yeah, bad weather, global warming actually. Yeah. So what they've done is they've put it into a time of our year where they call it, say, April showers bring May flowers, but in Cleveland we know that it fucking rains a lot in May. Right. So that's exactly it. April snow leads into fall, summer, spring, and then
April snow leads to fall's fucking salt, which
exactly. There ain't no way to figure that shit out.
Fucking depression.
Yeah.
It changes every year.
It rolls into the stupid football draft, which nobody gives a fuck about.
It did rain 2 years ago, right? DGR?
Yes, it did.
It
We
did
did
rain,
have. It was 1 year. a bit ago, and I wore that trench coat because of it. But then it brightened up for the ride, so we kind of dodged a bullet on it. So that's cool. We did have one wet year though, but the rest have always been really, really good. So
I was always disappointed we never got to do the Overland. Did the Mods versus Rocker Overland?
That could be a thing too, because that's
a different ride.
That's
Sorry.
actually kind of a good thing for a year like this. So
I want the Rusty Buckeye.
The Rusty Bucket? I mean, the Rusty Buckeye. Yeah. That's another, again, this would be a year for people to put stuff like that together because, hoteling sucks now. I mean, let's just say it. I want to go to the hotel. That's going to be great. We're going to go in the pool. No, we're not. That's great. We're going to have a continental breakfast. No, we're not.
The Overland, whatever the fuck, what did that go from to?
What?
Well, we were, like last year or whatever, we were talking about doing the Mods versus Rockers, but traveling down to Clear Fork Adventure Resort, where they had off-road riding and a campground, and it was going to be drive down there, camp out for a night, have a big bonfire. You could ride whatever you had on the trails or whatever, and then ride back the next day. But it kind of what happened there was Clear Fork closed down.
I was going to say the biggest thing with that was right when I was in the middle of contacting them and booking us into that was when they ran into a bit of a range war with their neighbor, who said to protect the pristine sanctity of their property, the runoff from the dirt bikes on what used to be ski slopes was causing erosion on the trail.
Duh.
Yeah.
Well.
Yep. So that's had to change. So that's not going to happen. And so if you look at Clear Fork's new website, which it is beautiful. I mean, the facility is amazing. But now if you look at their website, there is not even a hint or a suggestion of motorized 2 or 4-wheel travel anywhere near it.
They've been trying to do concerts and stuff like that.
Yeah, and what used to be the ski lodge is beautiful. I mean, it's a great giant A-frame building. It's really cool. And I told the folks, I was like, look, just let us be there. Let us book the place. If we happen to show up with motorbikes, wow, that's a legal form of transportation. So if you book the place out and
what do you know? All these people showed up in motorcycles. We didn't know.
Look, man,
oh, shit.
Those are legal, aren't they? I mean, hey,
all of a sudden they started riding on the trails, and we went after them, but we only have one. We
you
only
made
have
us
one
get
side
rid of
by
them.
side.
Yes.
We couldn't.
But how gnarly are most people going to get on a bike that they rode there?
Exactly.
Oh, fucking gnarly as fuck.
Hey, with this crowd? Are you shitting me?
When I talked
they had tabletops and jumps and stuff. I mean, like,
When I talked to him, when I was having the discussion, I was like, well, what if you had an event where somebody booked out your place, up to 175 guests?
Steve would have been jumping the Ural.
And I said, what if you had an event, and at this event, everybody who showed up at that event for a wedding shower or whatever it was, or, a wedding, what if every single person that showed up to that event was driving a PT Cruiser? Wouldn't that be fucking weird? Wouldn't that be insane? Would it be kind of the weirdest thing you've ever had happen at your place?
They all had polyester suits on and 70s porn stashes.
And stick on wood on the side of their PT Cruisers. I said, but that would be significant. And it would be no different technically, though, than if everybody that showed up happened to be riding a 2-wheeled vehicle.
Mm-hmm. I would say notable. That would be notable.
It wouldn't be illegal.
No.
It would cause nobody to call the police. Nope. Honestly. And if those people hung out and had a good time, I mean, I'm going to a giant fucking hearse festival at a resort that's a hell of a lot nicer than this resort.
Yep.
Right? We're having the hearse festival this year at fucking Mohican Resort. It's beautiful. Renting boats and shit.
Nice.
Beautiful.
How many hearse powers will be there?
A lot.
Hearse purse.
As again, what's it called? Just hearsing around.
So anyway, what about this top 10 list?
Oh, shit.
So anyway,
We're in an hour and a half.
Yeah,
this is a good place to end it, actually.
Okay, all right, that's it. Drive fast. No, I'm not going to do that. God damn it. So I think that we're going to talk. So just for the sake of, bring it. What the fuck is going on? Jesus Christ! Oh my God! All right.
Fucking children.
You know what? We've really gotten slack with this. Honestly, the audio quality went way up. We got 15 fucking cameras. We're taking notes and shit.
Well, we're documenting the shit show that goes on.
Well, and then
but-
Sleepy had to fuck it up, and he's
Yeah.
the sound guy.
No, because
so-
you know what? He feels like I built this shit. I can break
And then
it.
he was doing
You know,
like this shit over here.
I think the burping really let us down.
Yeah, I know. Demoralized me.
Maybe if Dan didn't have such bubbly fucking beer, I wouldn't burp, and then it wouldn't be a problem.
build build 1,000 bridges.
So back to the list.
Suck one dick. Okay. Suck one sheep dick.
One time in college, and you're labeled for
You're
life.
labeled for life. Okay, so according to Liza and the Misfits, or the Misfits and Liza, according to Misfits and Liza, number 1 on their list was the Honda Cub.
Wrong.
Worst bike in the world. Oh, Jesus. What a piece of shit.
No, we all like.
Hold on. Steve doesn't know. All right, Steve doesn't know. John, what is not a Honda Cub, but what is the best bike in the world?
In that same category.
A Honda CT 90 or 110.
Totally agree.
Yeah.
Same thing.
But again,
CT200.
No,
But
and
better.
all fits in.
again, but just bonus points if it's 1980 or 81 or later with a dual range
With a
transmission.
I agree.
First
You
of
agree?
all, no
It's not
re-
a CT200.
What's that?
I said it wouldn't be a CT200.
No, you just have to add chain.
Yeah, you just need the chain.
You got to flip the sprocket. And
No,
add
no,
chain.
I know. I mean, I know that, but I'm just saying it's a lot easier to flip a switch. Than
Yeah,
it is
of course.
to-
Yeah, CT110. Yeah.
Yeah. So no replacement for displacement. You've got an extra 20 cc's,
Yeah.
and you've got a dual range transfer case.
Remember we said there's one rule. Best.
Yes.
If you guys negotiate, you're just being misfits.
Yep.
Gotta be the 82 CT110. That's it.
Right?
Yeah.
Done. Best.
Yeah.
Done.
Yep.
If you want to negotiate, Santa Cruz is that way. Okay. All right. Okay. Number 2, they said Honda CB. Now, again, you guys for listening, we are going to try to stay in the categories they've sort of suggested based on their choices. Yep. So, we're not going to call. They didn't identify the category by name, but we know where they're going. We're not idiots, right? Okay. So the Honda CB750.
Yep.
Wrong. Wrong.
Close.
Wrong. Close.
wrong.
But no cigar.
Yep.
Right.
Not best.
Not best.
I want to make you say this one because this has kind of been the bane of your existence.
Yep.
Again.
So hearing these words coming off
Saying it's the
your
best.
lips.
I know this is heresy. I know this flies in the face of everybody. Keep in mind, I was born in the same year as the Honda CB750.
I would rather have the CB750.
We share a birthday, but it's not the best. The KZ900 is the best.
Yeah.
Period.
And you've had multiple
I've had enough of all of them
people
to know.
to tell you
And
that.
and the values will show you. I mean, KZ900 in mint condition versus a Honda 750. I mean, both of them are going to be high, but I bet you the KZ. gets
Other
more
than
weight.
a Sandcast case.
As a kid, the sound that made me want a super bike, an old school super bike street bike,
Yeah.
there weren't any CB750s around, but those KZ900s running around with a 4-into-1, I fell in love.
There could have been 1,000 CB750s in my neighborhood, and there probably were. But there only had to be one KZ9. A KZ900, you could hear it 6 blocks away. And you'd run faster than the ice cream truck. Oh, the fucking noise of that thing ripping down the street. And none of our streets were long enough to get out of first gear. But yet, I had this one crazy asshole live 3 streets over from me. I swear to God, I'd hear him start it up. And then it would just be like, what? And I was like, whoa.
See, but that my experience for that
Yeah.
would be a CBX.
Again, good, not best.
Well,
I love it, and it's honorable mention.
But I'm saying that
Yeah.
what you're
Auditory?
saying,
Yeah, auditory.
but,
perfect.
But
Yeah.
this guy was a stunter on a CBX, and he had an ice cream truck. His day job was selling ice cream, and he would come home and ride his CBX, do wheelies and stoppies and everything on his CBX up and down the street. Yeah.
I love that shit. That's great.
All right,
Yeah,
so
he
what's next
sold
on the
ice cream. He was selling fucking like push-up things of tie sticks out
pop-ups?
the back of
Yeah.
that thing, dude.
And he's in jail right now.
Nice dreams, man. Nice dreams. All right. So the third bike that they chose in whatever the ambiguous category this is, was the BMW GS 1200.
Fat pig.
Look, man,
we're talking about bikes.
it's a bike.
Right?
It's a bike that has
Don't make it personal.
a
It's just
lot of marketing.
No,
Right.
but I'm saying that. But what we're talking about the best.
Again, you can say anything you want to prove them wrong. I will allow it.
No, I'm not saying that it's a bad bike.
Right.
But
In the niche that it feels, what's a better bike?
Right.
I'm going to tell you.
Yep.
You guys ready?
Yep.
DR650.
100%.
Steve,
Is
what's
there,
your opinion?
Is there anything that the DR650 can't do
in that class?
that a GS can do?
Maybe two up better, or like the GS better. But here's the thing: the best, as we said, we're not going to debate it. The
Right.
best, if you're in the thing of an actual adventure rider, not a Starbucks rider, not a Ohio adventure rider where we have to drive 9,000 miles to get
Best
to
bike.
dirt,
Right.
But you're actually driving around the world.
You mean having an adventure?
A real
On a motorcycle.
solid, like multiple week, long-term adventure.
Do you know what happens sometimes when you're having an adventure?
You break.
You fall down.
Yeah,
Do you know what is the worst bike in the world to fall on you?
a big heavy.
A BMW G1200
If
GS.
you look at it in those terms,
Yeah.
I have a bike. I must ride it around the world. I would take the DR650.
Well, not only that, but
Simple, plentiful.
And the question
No-
here
no
not
liquid-
whether or not it
like-
beats a GS 1200.
Yeah.
The question is, does it beat a KLR 650? Because
Yes.
we know both of them beat a GS 1200.
I think yes.
Yeah.
no,
Because just because of the sim-
XR600L beat them too, and it's the same thing.
What it comes down to, I think, about being best is it's the best.
yeah.
it's air cooled. You can't break it. You can't fuck
But
with
if you
it.
Parts are
do break it,
plentiful.
but if
It
you
can
do
go-
break it and you're in fucking South Zimbabwe, you can
Right.
probably
They're gonna-
still get no
They're going
ring.
to be
and
able to,
a-
yeah. You're no problem.
I have to say, I do think, and as much as it
It
pains
is your
me,
passport to the world.
it's what pains me. It pains me to say this. It would actually be easier to sustain a DR650 than it would be a KLR 650.
But it's carbureted.
What?
Well, yeah.
Yes.
But you
And
want
that's
carb-
fine. No, that's what I
Yeah,
want.
yeah.
I mean, I'm
Right.
saying that I would want a carbureted bike if I was.
I'm pretty
'Cause
sure
remember-
it's light. I'm pretty sure it's lighter. I'm pretty sure it does everything.
Again,
A KLR is a pig.
whatever
Off-road.
criteria made the BMW GS 1200 be their pick. The only criteria that gets best in is the approval of your friends at Starbucks.
Well, here, check this out.
Right.
Here's the ultimate thing for this, and you guys can all answer when I ask the question. You're in a sandy region somewhere in the world,
Right.
and you're on and off that clutch, trying not to be stuck.
Sure.
And when you hit the end of this big sandy patch, your clutch is kind of burned out.
Mm-hmm.
How many hours of work on the DR650 is that? And what do you have to do to a
Exactly.
GS
You're
1200?
better off on a fat cat.
Exactly.
No, but I'm just saying, like, you have to
No, I'm
split a
serious. I mean,
GS
if you're-
1200 in half.
Yeah.
Like, you have to
Right.
take the
Yeah.
bike apart to get
Right.
to the clutch.
Yeah.
There's no tipping it over, pulling the thing off, and fucking putting new
And I
clutch
honestly
plates
don't
in.
think you'd ever have a problem with a DR650.
I got a question
it
for
can
you.
ride around the world and be just fine.
Yeah.
There's this event that was highly publicized. It was called the Long Way Round.
Up, down, round,
Up,
sideways.
down,
And do you
all
remember they
around,
started that
rock
event?
this place down to the ground. Oh,
They started that event on how many motorcycles?
Dos.
3.
Three.
Oh, three, right,
The camera
yeah,
guy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the camera guy had.
Yeah.
So what were they riding at the end of the event?
Well, the cameraman was riding a Russian bike.
the MZ, he loved the fuck
He
out of
loved that
Yeah.
AK-47 or whatever that
Because
was.
they weighed like 300 pounds. Well, they were all dying. He was just pumping through the little things and stuff.
And how many times did the frame break on the BMW?
a couple times.
Multiples.
But they also had like 175,000 pounds on the back of it. Just
But
saying.
you,
That's
but
part
you
of the
wonder if they
adventure.
had like an F800, they would have been better off.
Well, it didn't exist back then. Though.
No, but what I'm saying is
And,
that
and your argument is exactly right, and it makes the BMW 1200 the wrong bike.
That's the wrong
right.
bike.
No, that's
And
what
in
I'm
fact,
saying. That's what
in
I'm
fact,
saying.
it really does a good job of saying the word best. Best means best. And if that bike can be beaten by its brother, the F800 GS,
That's not-
then it
That's not the
absolutely ain't the
best.
best. Right?
I agree.
If it can be beaten by a smaller version of itself,
Then it's
it ain't the best.
It ain't the best.
I think the DR650 for what
Right.
it is and how available parts are and how simple it is and how light it
best.
is, it's the best.
It gets the most check marks,
Yeah.
therefore it's the best.
It's
And
the best.
honestly, like if you want to back stuff up with facts,
Yeah.
look up people that are currently on multiple year or even 10-year round the world sessions, and people that have done round the world things and stuff. And there's usually, there's an assortment of bikes, but you'll find that probably at the top of that list is the DR650.
Well, and also the fact that I didn't suggest the DR650. A person who owns a KLR 650 suggested.
A person who owns 4 KLR 650s
suggested the DR650.
The DR650.
Yeah.
I will admit it. Yep. I own, right now, 4 KLR 650s.
How many DR650s do you own?
0.
There you go.
Want to hear a crazier number? Do you know how many DR650s I have owned? 0.
Really?
I've not owned one single DR650. But you know what? I acknowledge that it is a better bike for doing that kind of thing.
And parts, like they haven't changed it in 28 years or 20, whatever. So you're gonna get parts. You know what I mean? There's no like the new generations are graphics.
Right. Yeah.
Like
so the reason I've always had KLRs versus DRs is my type of riding has always been vastly biased towards the freeway.
Right.
Right.
But I acknowledge that every time I've ridden my KLRs in the dirt off road, the guys who are riding the DRs are having no problem getting away from me. And then when I try their bike on, I'm like, God damn, this thing's really good in the dirt.
It's just a big, stupid trail bike.
It is.
And it's very versatile too. You can do a lot of things with adjusting. And this is not my knowledge. Just my friend has a real, he's the king of DR650s. And he's lowered the front and the back to make it a gravel bike. Then he's put it back up for off-road. Then he's done this to make it on-road. Then he's added this and that. So it's a blank canvas that you can really fuck with for different things.
But but you could say the same thing about 300s. I mean, you could ride a 300.
No, you can, but
but as far as
you can say the same thing about a CT90.
Again, hold on. It's easy, guys. Hey guys, you are about to become a member of the Misfits.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
Because
next bike.
What's the best? And that's
Next
it.
bike.
if my aunt had a dick, she'd be my uncle. All right. So
All right. So what's the next one?
all right. So the next category. I don't know what the category was, but their winner for that category was the HD Evo. A little something to you guys about the Evo.
Cruiser
Did you just burp in the fucking mic again?
No, it wasn't me.
Who was
Fucking
that?
Steve.
That was Oscar.
Fuck you.
It wasn't me.
Steve.
I keep my bodily gases internal.
You fucking sent it like it was a goddamn cheap car. Like, come on. So,
All right, cruisers.
We're gonna get demonetized for that.
that's exactly
Wait,
right.
did they give the Evo the nod because it didn't leak for once? I mean, seriously, it was the first Harley that didn't leak oil.
Well, to all fairness, if it's the best in leaking, then yes, it would be the best one.
But I mean, what is the
worst
Evo?
in
Is the Evo? I mean, are they talking about the whole line of Evos, or are they talking about one particular bike?
And now you've found my problem with their list.
That's a good question.
Okay? Because they're not talking about the best. This is a list of the best. I will remind you guys, hey guys, you know what this is a list of? The best. Okay? So you know what the best has? The best. Do you know how many qualifications there are about the best? 0. Squatouches, Chris would say. The best is the fucking best. Do you know how you know you're not the best? If there's somebody better than you. So if you can see the guy in front of you, you're not the best.
Yeah, but how do you even rate an Evo?
I'm going to do it. Watch.
It's not the best.
I don't understand what category that's in, though.
It's okay. I'm going to help you. Because they said the HD Evo was the best. And they're wrong. Do you know why they're wrong? If I can prove one thing about how they're wrong, then it's not the best, and we're done. Okay. 1, yes, it is the motor that came out. The 80 cubic inch Evo came out in the 80s, saved Harley Davidson from itself, et cetera. ... Go on. They quit leaking, whatever.
It's a great bike.
It's better than a fucking shovel.
Oh, they spent more than 12 cents on a gasket?
All above. But you know what? If the HD Evo's good, and I'm not going to say it's the best, but if it's good, and this is the category. So if the category, if whatever the category is, and I don't know what this fucking category is, we tried talking about it. We were like, is it the best cruiser? Because it ain't.
Well, we're assuming it's HD.
We're just assuming that this
Is
is
it the best Harley?
Look, dude, this is the category that they put in every magazine shootout that's called Throw a Bone to Harley. Those poor bastards spend a lot of money on advertising.
Yeah.
Okay. This is the category that they put in that is like best cruiser that's complemented by fringe and an overweight man riding it.
Okay.
Right?
All
Let's just say what it is. Best cruiser you can ride if you're in the Harley owners group. Okay, whatever. I don't care. You can call it fucking whatever you want to fucking call it. But here's the one thing. I have owned a shit ton of these.
Yeah.
Okay? And I do speak with a certain amount of authority on this. The Evo is nice, and it was great, and it was okay, and it was cool. And, you know, we had one through here not long ago, a original Evo 1986, 80 cubic inch motor, and we all kind of went, yeah, this is really cool. And Cam was just in the service department just grinding his junk up against it, talking about like, this is the coolest bike ever because it's, you know, so much better than my Sportster. Because it was the first big Harley that had ever let him touch it. Okay.
Why wouldn't you call a Motoguzzi like a California way
Because it
better
ain't a Harley Davidson, and apparently
We're
in this
giving
category,
we're giving them that niche.
I'm letting them know.
I've never ridden a Harley, but I've ridden a Motoguzzi, and just with my limited experience, I want to believe that it's better. So,
All right. So,
here's
what
the
is the
answer.
best? So what is the best?
Simple. 103 Road King. So 103 Road King, because the Milwaukee 8 that's out right now is having problems. I mean, nobody wants to admit it. It's the new motor from Harley Davidson. It's going to save the company again. It's not. It's having problems. We know for a fact, there's one parked right there, Twin Cam 88 will give you problems.
So did the 103 correct the cam tensioning thing?
Absolutely.
Okay, well then...
And a 103 is the only motor that I'm aware of from Harley Davidson. I was really holding out hopes. You guys have heard me say I've been holding out hopes from the Milwaukee 8, thinking it was perfect. But honestly, I'm on a Milwaukee 8 owners group, and people are having problems.
is perfect too high of a standard?
For Harley Davidson?
Well, did the Evo, when it came out in the 80s,
Yeah.
it was better.
It was better than the shovel.
Was it perfect?
No way. It was a million miles away from any Honda.
Yeah.
Right. So, but it was still a long way away from Honda bikes. But what I will tell you is in the class of the Harley Davidson, the 103 Road King, and because the Road King, and the reason I say Road King.
Road King is the only Harley Davidson I've ever wanted to own.
Yeah. And we can go into the various permutations of the FLH chassis. That's fine. But the Road King to me is the perfect balancing point.
It is the king.
It does everything. It does everything that a Harley does particularly well.
So it's the best.
So it's the best. Okay. Done.
There you go.
Okay. Their next bike in the next category, which I can only assume is the Vespa Rally 200. So I know the category they were shooting for. They did it for Bagel.
Scooter. Yeah.
They clearly did it just for Bagel.
It's Bagel.
They gave Bagel a category. Is this like that Harley Davidson thing we were talking about earlier?
Yep. Yeah.
That's for one of their guys. That was like for Rick or somebody. But anyway.
Sorry, Bagel, but the Sim RV250 would eat you alive.
Jesus.
No. On this one, I'm going to say the Misfits got it absolutely right.
I agree.
Or
Vespa-
Bagel got it right.
Bagel got it right.
Yeah.
Without a doubt, the greatest Vespa ever built, is for my money, is the Vespa Rally 200. It's the fastest.
Yep.
It is brilliant in its execution.
It's pretty.
Two-stroke.
It's beautiful.
Let's
It's
say
a two-stroke.
Let's get it.
And
We're
honestly-
gonna throw away all the four-stroke twist and goes and everything.
And you know what? I will even let them be in there because yes, obviously a GTS 300 is better, right? So a GTS 300 is faster. Its suspension is better. The brakes are better. It goes faster. It can go longer on a tank of gas. There's less maintenance. I don't know. But anyway, but point being, Vespa, the best.
Vintage.
The best.
Category.
No category. No,
No,
not even
you're
vintage.
right.
I'm going to say it.
You're
the
right.
best goddamn Vespa from 1946 until right now, the best Vespa of every Vespa that's Vespa'd is a Rally 200.
Rally 200. That's
and the
true.
only thing that I'll allow would be a Rally 180 because the Femsatronic ignition in a Rally 200 is a motherfucker to find,
But
but you can fix that.
it also had the Ducati ignition in the later ones.
It did. Very late ones, 1977.
P200 also has it.
If you could own one Vespa, it
Rally
would be a
200.
Rally. It would be a Rally.
It was
200.
And the
Rally.
reason, another reason I would say Rally 180 would be the Rally 180 does have points,
Yeah.
and the Rally 180 is not as fast, but it's pretty good. But the Rally 200 is fucking fast
That's
by
the one to
Vespa
have.
standards.
That's the one to have.
It's the one to have.
Yep.
So that's it.
That's the
okay,
best.
number 6. They said Honda Goldwing, and they're absolutely right. Honda
Yeah.
Goldwing. So yeah, two in a row.
in a row.
Right.
So they got
Yeah, but which Goldwing?
Doesn't matter.
No,
They're
no, no.
all
They
the
didn't.
best.
They didn't name a year. They
Right.
didn't say so. Yes, Goldwing is its niche, all of its own. And
Do you know what?
It's great.
There is not a single year you can name from 1975 until now where the Honda Goldwing wasn't the best.
It was the best. It was the
Jesus
Who did
fucking
that?
Christ.
Who the fuck did
These
that?
fucking hosts are
goddamn
assholes.
amateurs.
It was
Smacking the damn
every year. It has been the best touring, like long distance touring.
Do you know what the best Goldwing was in 1981? A Goldwing,
All of them. All of them.
right? Yamaha made the venture. It wasn't the best
What was
Goldwing.
the best Goldwing in 1997?
The Honda Goldwing.
Oh,
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, but I would say that BMW gave them a good run for the money.
Never.
Never,
Never.
Not the best though.
never
Never.
even close.
Never.
There's so many
If
factors.
you want to, if it's for what a Goldwing does,
And even if you say
jump
crazy
on the
shit,
highway and
Yeah.
jump on the highway and
Yeah.
drive to California.
Yeah.
Goldwing.
are you saying a BMW was ever a better Goldwing than a Goldwing?
Nope.
No, but I'm saying, what's your category? What's the best Goldwing?
But here-
It's a
Goldwing.
I mean,
Hold on.
What are you talking about?
But again, so let's just take Steve's thing. Let's join the Misfits for a second. Let's throw a bunch of fucking dicks in the room and see if any of them become my uncle, right? But let's just do it and let's say the K1600 LT.
I'm not saying that the newer Goldwings are. I mean, I would say the newer Goldwings are way better than BMWs.
Right. But do you think there's a better touring
At what
bike?
point?
Hold on. Is there a
In
better?
1975, when the Goldwing came out, what was a better long distance touring bike?
Well, you had the R. In '75 would be the /7,
/7.
but you had the first. I mean, they didn't have fairings, did they?
Those
The
were
original,
both.
the original ones did not have
Both of
fairings.
those-
Steve, you like
Those were-
Hondas. Just let the Honda be.
No, I love it. You know I love Goldwings.
All right,
I
so
mean, I have no
Goldwing.
problem.
All right, Goldwing. All right. Next.
All right,
All right.
I'm just playing devil's advocate
Again,
here.
and that's what got us into this fucking mess.
Next.
You're getting closer and closer to Santa Cruz by the minute.
Exactly. Liza is going to
We're
make
gonna
you her
ship your ass
bitch.
out there.
Steve, you couldn't survive in California.
Oh my god,
We're buying your ticket already.
you're too fuzzy.
Yeah.
All right. So, okay. Hey, guys, next category. Again, we don't know the categories. But I can tell you what they thought was the best
We're
bike.
just assuming.
They said the best bike in category number 7 was the GSXR 750.
Jigsaw.
This is a tough one.
No, it's not. They were wrong. So, okay. You fucking haven't you learned the rules? They were wrong.
Right.
But they
Your
were right
bike
on
was
two
even
of their
better.
categories.
That was just to
true.
make him feel good.
But
Yeah.
Even a blind squirrel finds a nut every once in a while.
we'll give them this. Innovative for the time, sure.
Yep.
Beautiful for the time, especially in the 86 range or
Yes.
something. Sure.
Absolutely gorgeous.
Not
The
the best.
best?
Not the best.
Again,
No.
the fun thing about this category is the best walks up and smacks you in the face and says, by the way, every magazine in the world said I was better.
Right.
The best thing about this particular category is there were no shortage of people just going as they put fur on their bikes or whatever and tried to make it better.
Right.
Okay.
Steve.
Well, okay. In this category, the best is the Honda NR750.
Boom.
The best. Do you know why it's the best? Because it was the fucking best. And Nick said, yeah, sure, but you can't buy it. Again, that's something a misfit would say. It existed and it was on the planet and you can buy it. I found 2 of them on Cycle Trader.
I still, yeah.
You can go buy one.
I can't buy one.
Yes, you can.
Well, my comment
I
was,
cannot.
what about the GBZs? Like a GBZ, the Ninjas.
No.
When the Ninjas came out, I mean, like the full-fared sport bike.
They were shocking.
The GBZ 900.
I wonder.
Do you know why?
I
most,
wonder.
You know why most people had a boner for the Ninjas is because of Top Gun.
Tom Cruise.
Yeah.
But even so, all those things being said, there is one asterisk,
Yeah.
which we will allow for the passage of time.
Yep.
Because you can't say that the P-51D was the very greatest fighter plane that ever existed, when in fact an F-14 exists. Right?
F-16 was better.
We do understand, right?
Yeah.
Okay, exactly.
F-18s?
But yeah, you get my,
F-15s are way better than F-16s.
you acknowledge my metaphor, right?
I will take an F-22 Raptor.
Okay, but that's the point. And that's the point.
I don't like B-25s, but they're going to get killed by it.
Stealth bomber, dude. All right.
And on that note,
Cool. All right. So, okay. All right. The only bike that I was thinking of that actually we came up with that could actually be better, because remember, the NR 750 was a finely cut jewel.
Yep.
It had everything that the best motorcycle company in the world that has the most money to spend on technology could produce and cheat and get thrown out of racing classes.
Yep. Oval pistons.
Oh, yes, exactly. Is the R1.
Yep, 100%.
Fucking A.
Because it is hard to argue that it's not the best when people who are on full-on race team bikes that burn up in fires buy an R1 on the way to the racetrack and then win the race.
Or come in second.
Exactly.
Well, and you can't buy an NSR 750 without $50,000 at least. But you can buy an old
There was
R1.
no money mentioned when they said
It's
best.
sustainable and it's the
matter.
best.
And
All right.
And
then
on top
I'll
of that-
change that. I can't buy an NSR 750. I can buy an R1.
Well, not
Right.
only that, but
And
how
that's
about
true.
this?
It's
A
absolutely true.
1998 R1 can still keep up and probably beat most of the fucking
Yes,
bikes
I
that
totally
are out there
agree.
right now.
Probably faster
Totally
than an
agree.
NSR 750.
Yeah, I mean it's the alt. When my old buddy bought one when I had a ZX7, and I thought my ZX7 was the shit, and I rode his R1 and it scared the living shit out of me. It was insane.
I still want a Hurricane 1000.
Hurricane
Again,
1000?
these are all fine and noble bikes.
Not
Don't
the
get
best.
me wrong.
But it's not the best.
Not the best.
Exactly.
Now you got it.
But they're
Finally.
better than a GSXR 750.
Well,
Yeah,
and,
100%.
and other things are, right? And that's exactly
So what's the next
and
one?
also, but they didn't define. And here's the problem with some of it. Like the R1 is pretty much the R1. There's different variations of it, but it's generally the same bike. The Gixxer 750, the Slingshot, the early version's a completely different bike
Yeah.
than 2004 or 5, so they didn't
Changed a lot.
define which one it is.
Yeah.
It became very mediocre in the mid 90s. It was like hey, another, hey.
And yes, I mean, we are saying an NR40 or an RC40 or an NR 750. That's a 1992 motorcycle, guys.
Right,
And
right.
So but it checks all the blocks, and the shit is fucking amazing. And honestly, I would sit and look at it all day long, and I've definitely probably touched myself to that bike.
It has the Ferrari vents.
Well, wait, what year was? What about like the two strokes, like the Gamma and some of those? Weren't those coming out? Like, wouldn't you rather have a?
That's
final?
not the best.
But there's no year. Yeah.
and they're way far away from being the best.
The R1 you could ride in traffic, you could ride it to school, you could ride it to work, and then you could ride it on the racetrack. The
Yeah.
Gamma, you're gonna.
But like even shit like in RZ 500, and all that stuff.
Yeah.
I've ridden them. They're a long way from being the best.
So what number are we in?
We're number 8. Number 8 is the Britain V1000.
Oh, God.
Now hold on a second. I will tell you guys that the Britain V1000. It's a very, very, very special motorcycle.
How many were made?
I don't know.
I think like 500.
Under
Yeah,
1,000.
right.
Definitely under 1,000.
But the Britain is a fantastic. I mean, the story, the romance about the Britain V1000, it is a true can-do thing. I mean,
So this is the exotic race
Yeah.
bike.
New
category.
Zealand's look. This is the spirit of New Zealand.
I'm sure it's fantastic. I don't care.
This is
It might be the best. It's the best story behind a motorcycle.
cares?
Right? Right.
it's fantastic, and I mean it is fantastic. Do not get me wrong. It is the true fucking beautiful, gorgeous, weird looking freak show Mother Nature. The fucking Britain is a mutant motorcycle.
But where do you pull one of those out of your ass?
But you talk about availability, Jiminy fucking Christmas.
But we don't, because it's the best. We don't care about
But
availability.
here's the thing that go ahead, Oscar.
No, but that's what I brought up. I mean, if we're talking to like really rare bikes, I want a Mugen on that list.
Well, and that's
You
it.
can't buy it.
It's not even right. And again, as
That
great
thing's
as the
hideous.
Mugen is,
It's
as
weird
great
looking.
as the Mugen is, and the Mugen's great, it's not the best. And
Right.
so this is the weird thing. Yes, Britain was a mad genius. Yes, Britain did things that nobody else could do. He did great. And everyone says, as Liza's group would say, it's the up the butt bike. It has been the up the butt bike for every person who's been on that fucking podcast, except for me. Because honestly, I look at that thing and I have a problem with it. Actually, I'll be honest, I have several problems with it. But
I wouldn't trade my monkey for that bike.
The story behind it and everything is all part of what makes the bike great. And it is great, and it should go down in the annals of motorcycle history. It is fantastic.
It's legacy.
It's pink.
Well,
That's all I have. I can't get past the pink.
It belongs in.
It came in
motorcycle
other
history,
colors, okay?
But it is not the best.
It's history, not the best.
It's
legacy.
Magic, and it's great, and that's fucking cool, and it's
not that cool.
It is great. It's
cool.
However, I gotta say that what I think might actually beat it, and this is a hard category because the category is very poorly defined.
Yeah, I'm just gonna stay out of this.
Right,
It's ambiguous.
but I do think it's an incredibly ambiguous category.
Weird.
I think it's just a weird fucking category. But what I do think beats it is the MV Agusta.
Yeah,
the
the
MV
M4.
Agusta F4. Because it's not a clown car.
That's sexy. As
Okay?
fuck.
Because it doesn't have a banana coming out of the middle of it somewhere painted pink.
It was one of
because
the
it doesn't
first
look
bikes-
like an inverted dog's dick.
It gives so many dudes a boner with the four
Fucking
fucking
A, dude.
pipes coming out. If you can get a rear shot of that thing
Okay.
with the 4 pipes coming out of the
And
back
so
of it.
this is the trick I
There it
think.
is, down and one down.
So
Yeah.
here's kind of what I
pipes.
think about the MV Agusta.
That's a 4-input girl right there,
The
isn't it?
front end of this motorcycle is so fantastically sexy that you'll die, except for when it turns around. And then when it turns around, it's got one half of a pipe organ underneath it.
Yeah.
Like somebody slid under that motorcycle and said, these go here.
Is it 2014?
And this is a bike that's now 6-7 years old, and it's been out for a minute. But
Four and a
these
fours.
things are sick pretty, and they sound great, and they have really great reputation on the racetrack, etc. So, in my learned opinion, and for what it's fucking worth, I gotta say, I think this is better. And as long as I think it's better, then the Britain can't be best. Right?
Exactly.
Yeah, because the fact, no, it's not a burn. It's just fucking logic, dude. Like, it's just logic.
If
True.
we have a race.
Right.
There's Phil, and he's cloned himself.
Right.
Phil 1 is going to ride the Britain.
Right.
Phil 2 is going to ride the MV Agusta.
Right.
What Phil is going to win?
The guy who actually, honestly, I'm not going to want to get on the Britain. It's a freak show. I'm sure that like the gear shift is probably an avocado.
Phil number 1.
The Britain is a science experiment.
So we're saying Phil number 1 doesn't
Okay.
have his head in the game on the Britain.
How about this one? Raise your hand if
He's
you
not
think
man enough to wear pink.
no, it's not the pink. I would rock the shit out of the pink part of the bike. Raise your hand if you think that Britain is a better bike, even from a spectator standpoint. Is that Britain a better bike than the MV? I mean,
No.
if you
No.
think it is.
No.
Okay, so there's 7 fucking votes for not better.
It looks like a donkey standing next to a fucking a racehorse.
There's a lot of weird shit going on in this motorcycle,
Right.
and what we know that we know that it's not the best because as much as the story's great, it didn't win everything it
I was
entered.
gonna say, like, what is the performance of it? Like, is there any kind of record of like how awesome it was performing wise? I mean, I've read articles, but I don't think everybody's like, oh my god, I wanted to leave Suzuki and join the Britain Superbike team.
Did they keep building it?
Well, he died.
Did somebody else step in and say this must go on?
No, that's true.
Okay.
It looks like
So it's not the best.
Like the Manx dune buggies, okay?
Yeah,
It looks
yeah.
like one of those reject dune buggies that try to copy a Manx.
I mean, I love every goddamn thing about it, the romance and everything else. But again, motherfucker's been up this bike's ass for way too long.
I just don't like the colors. When you really get up and look at that
Well,
bike, the exhaust,
yeah.
and a lot of things about it are really cool.
Yeah.
And I've obviously never ridden one of them and never will.
It looks like a Bergman.
But it's a fantastic bike. It absolutely
Just when you can't hurt him anymore, it looks like a fucking Bergman.
It absolutely does not look like a Bergman. It is.
Bergman was painted that color.
And really, honestly,
Stop kicking it. It's dead.
That's a proper burn. I'm sorry.
I like the way we're going to take away any credibility we got for our strong ass stance on the MD Goose stuff, and now everyone's going to go, oh, they're just talking trash.
well, and I will give you this: that when we first talked about it, we were just going to pass over this one. And
Honestly,
we were going to agree with this.
We were going to agree with it
Yeah.
and just let it go. But honestly, I just think that too many people have been sucking this bike's knob.
And we,
Right.
I think
This bike has gotten more free blowjobs than David Lee Roth.
I think it's because they use carbon fiber. People were all so jerked off
that's
about
true.
the carbon fiber.
Right.
Like
Yeah.
the
Back in
fork
the
and
day,
swing
yeah,
arm.
right.
They're like, oh
Yeah, totally like atypical, asymmetrical, and let's make it pink and blue.
Does it have 3 camshafts?
I don't
care.
no,
2 for the motor and 1 up your ass.
John should like it though because it has 4 sets of points, so he's cool.
It's got 2 in the pink and 1 in the not pink. All right. So there you go. All right.
Category.
Next category.
number 9.
Number 9. Next category. The winner of next category against the mystery category. You don't know what the category is. The categories, they were very flexible on the categories because you're not supposed to have any categories when it's the best.
Right.
Turns out when you're looking for the best of anything, there's one. Okay? Because whatever the best is
Is the best.
the best only until somebody beats it.
There's nothing
And
better.
that's not
than
the
it.
best anymore.
Nothing better.
Exactly. It's not an ambiguous term, best. They don't give away 2 first place trophies. I've checked.
Well, they do in soccer now for most kids.
Again,
Almost anything you
It's
can
that
think
kind of
of, there's
discussion.
always something better.
it's that kind of discussion that'll get you on a different podcast. All right. So, fucking standards
What's
to
the
maintain
next
around
motorcycle?
here.
Number 9.
The next category is won by any 60s Husqvarna.
Oh,
Now, if you didn't listen to the podcast, I'm going to tell you guys right now, if you didn't listen to their podcast, you have to go back in time and listen to their podcast because the first portion of their podcast it's fantastic. It's about a guy talking about his product that he sells called Fix My Hog, and it's brilliant. It's fucking brilliant. It's genius, and I want everyone to subscribe to it. For $3, they will literally give you all the information that you need, what used to be a series of DVDs to fix Harley Davidsons. Fucking great, man. Super cool, and I love it. It's like what Robot does for Vespas with his tech tips, but for Harley Davidsons.
What does that have to do with 60s Husqvarnas?
Hold on. That was the first 3/4 of their podcast. The last 3/4 of the podcast was this thing we're talking about right now. Okay.
So there's 6 quarters.
Yeah.
No, because they said that for the next
It went
half
extra
an
long, yeah.
Steve, they said for the next half an hour we're going to talk about the top 10 bikes.
Oh,
and
and
it
it took-
didn't last a half an hour.
Okay.
How the hell did we totally lose our fucking sound guy? This guy's off the rails. And we just don't even no brown liquor.
What are you talking
Bro,
about?
look, he's doing rails in the back. I don't know.
You ever snort sneef off a top 10 list?
You know, I should probably just say that these guys emptied my cooler for the first time in months.
Oh, there
It's
you go.
fucking empty.
We have a lot more good though. Thank you though. Well done on emptying Dan's supply. All right, 60s Husqvarna. Here's where I will say the only thing that I can think of. Well, a lot of things that I can think of. And again, God damn it, give Steve McQueen his fucking due, right? Because we all know he can do no goddamn wrong, right? But the CR250
Yeah.
Fucking A.
is better than. And in the world of motorcycles that go in the dirt, which I think is what this category is all about, I don't think there's any motorcycle that is
Better.
unequivocally better than a well-ridden CR250. And we were even talking about like the more is more thing, CR500. But honestly, I've had those things knock my dick in the dirt from just like teasing them. Like that bike, the CR500 is a bit uncontrollable.
Yeah, well, and we're going to still stay sort of in the niche. They're talking 60s. We don't want to jump ahead 40
No,
years.
the best is the best. Time doesn't matter with the best.
I just
You
think
gotta be. I mean, but I would say that you'd have to throw
In-
the YZ 125s, YZ 250s in the mix too, because
Oh, because then you got to go to the RMs too, because every fucking
Okay.
person had an
No,
RM.
but
ever.
Okay, so
but
hold
the
on.
YZs were the.
His
Everybody,
plane ticket's been bought.
we're gonna line the 3 dicks up in a row. Okay, we're gonna measure from the top, not the bottom.
Yeah, because
Okay.
the bottom is Jake.
The bottom's bullshit.
Yeah, you get all the
All right.
okay, but let's look at it this way. we go back into the 60s.
Right.
You were looking at Greaves and stuff like that. The idea, 6 days trials and stuff.
Right.
What were the first purpose-built off-road bikes?
Absolutely.
And some of those were, and some of the Husqvarnas were some of the first purpose-built.
The Pentons and the Husqvarnas were running right next
but
to
you
each
said
other.
something there.
Yeah.
You said the Pentons.
Right.
And so, I mean, if you go back and look at a Penton versus a Husqvarna,
And if I take a Penton and I run it against even an 86 CR250.
But then, I'm just saying, I'm talking more like the Elsinores when you talk about a
MT250 Elsinores, fantastic.
A 74.
Yep.
Like as soon as the Honda got into the game with
Absolutely.
that bike, all those other ones go out the
And
door.
there are arguments, but those arguments lead to one thing. Discussion that does something to distract us from the best. And the best, because when we say Yamaha, we say YZ250, right? And we say, okay, we've got the Yamaha sitting there, the same year Yamaha, the same year Husqvarna, the same year Honda CR. Of those three, which is the best?
The CR250.
There we go.
CR250.
When we're done. That's it.
In
And this is-
1981, the CR250 was.
This is the easiest category to look at and be like, we have data that shows.
Ridiculous amounts of data.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
and I don't disagree.
Yeah.
But Honda
Right.
was pushing at that time. Honda was pushing all to make the 4-strokes on the same level as the 2-strokes.
Sure.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'm not saying that, but we're looking at 2-stroke.
I'm looking at, historically speaking, look back in time and see what color bike was standing in the first place of the finish.
it was Honda.
It was a red bike.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Steve, it took almost, it's only been in the last maybe 10 to 20 years where a 250 4-stroke could compete with a 250
No,
2-stroke.
I understand that, but in the 70s, when I was growing up, I mean, the YZs were what most people had. I mean, at least were, the guys that I knew. But Honda was sponsoring my number of my friends on 4-stroke Hondas to try to introduce the 4-strokes into that realm.
Right.
And I'm not saying that they were better than those. I'm just saying that the Honda, the R&D was really geared towards the 4-strokes and not towards
But weren't they
the
racing?
CRs.
Weren't they racing 450s against 250s back then? The 454 strokes versus the 250s.
No, they were. Well, my friends were racing 125s and 250s.
And that's a very good point because that's exactly what I was thinking. You're all wrong that the CR125, in most cases, is the fastest bike on a motocross course. Like, they kick ass. And
they are, and they do. But what all I'm saying is that though Honda had that offshoot,
Right.
they were putting their R&D money into the 4-strokes because they knew that was the future. I mean, that's all I'm saying. I'm not saying that they were the best in the category, which they weren't.
Right.
Well, let's just open it up then, and like they did, and just say any Honda dirt bike
Yeah.
for any generation.
Right. And that's absolutely true. And it is that is that kind of a thing that, Dirt Bike Magazine did this shit years ago, and they kind of ripped through it, and they were like, what's the greatest MX bike of all time? Dirt Bike Magazine went through it, and you know what they came up with? The Honda.
Yeah.
So, and they didn't ask me, they didn't ask you, they didn't ask you or any of us other bullshit, not dirt riding motherfuckers.
They asked me, actually.
Just saying.
That's because you could fit into that leather jacket.
I believe the Suzuki TS250 was.
Yeah, there you go.
It came out in
That's right.
1969. It
Yeah,
had
that's
23
true.
horsepower.
Yep. I totally agree. Yeah.
But look at the electrics now. I mean, the electric bikes now tear up everything.
Of course. Right.
So it's really a age or a generational thing.
Yeah. According to Dirt Bike Magazine, people that know a thing or two about this, number two was the 1974 Honda CR125. Okay, that was number 2, right? And fucking goddamn well deserved it. And the number
Those
one,
are the Elsers.
that's an Elsinore, dude. That's an Elsinore. But number 1 was the 2008 Honda CRF 450R, which is a 4-stroke version of the CR250.
Right.
Exactly.
Ballpark, we're there.
So boom.
It's surprising though that a lot of people are crazy for the XR400. The Honda XR400.
It has
like
a cult following. But
Enduro
again,
riders
why?
really love the shit out of that.
I love
bike.
it because it's really usable. And it is fucking, I've had those things. They're fucking totally usable. And we wouldn't have the GB500 without it.
Yep.
We wouldn't have a lot of the single cylinder 500cc bikes go to that for their foundation and their roots. So well done, Honda. You did it. But yeah, I dig that shit. So yeah, I'm going to stick with CR250. You know why? Because it's the fucking best. And you know, in case I wasn't right, people with the
Go fuck your head.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Number 10, mystery category. Number 10, they just said any Honda 70cc. What the fuck, man? That's not even, what the fuck does that even mean?
Well, especially since they already had the Cub as the first one.
Right.
10th category will be any word that comes out of Liza's mouth.
Now,
Best bike,
whatever-
Honda.
Well, whatever that category.
Rubber dick.
If
Right,
you want to go
exactly.
there, let's specify the Trail 70 or the Trail 9, whatever, because that bike is.
Yeah, but you could say it's an XR70.
Mystery category.
No.
it's
If we're going to say any Honda 70, then clearly it would be the SL70 would be the best Honda
Yes,
70.
without a doubt.
Okay.
In my mind.
Not even,
wheels,
and
right.
you know what? And I will say, if you want to say the best, you're fucking right. Because an SL70 is a magic
I
bike.
would argue that the best Honda 70 is
Yeah.
the CB77.
No, okay, now. Yeah. So yeah, that's a good callback right there, my friend. So yes, the Honda SL70 is clearly of the Honda 70s. If you're going to say any Honda 70, then that's not the way this game is played. You said best, and if you're going to say best, then you got to say the best Honda 70 is the SL70 because
But-
that motherfucker's awesome.
But let's entertain this.
Yeah.
What about a Kawasaki KV7075?
No, not better than an SL70.
Okay.
It's
What
not.
about an XR75? Huge following in the XR75s. Oh, people still race those today.
I know,
Grown
but
men.
it's okay. But anyway, they're all wrong. It doesn't matter because the best undefinable bike in the best undefinable category is the Honda Superhawk. Yep. And the reason it wins. Okay.
Jump. And that was the lead.
Well, we're just gonna have a correction here. You made a top 10 list and you didn't include the Superhawk. You fucked up.
First of all, and second of all, it wins in that unidentifiable strange 10th round category because it's the best twice. Because both versions of the Honda Superhawk are both the best. So you can have a 60s Honda Superhawk and it's the best. Is it better than a Honda Dream?
Yeah.
Yes.
Anyone have any?
Yes.
Anybody disagree?
No.
Is it better than a Honda Dream?
No doubt.
Exactly. Right. Is it better than Big Bear?
Yes, it is.
Okay. All right. Is it better than, I don't know. What do you got, man? What's in its era?
Anything British.
Oh my God. Is it better than any of the bikes it walked all over that had twice the CCs it had? It is, because it did. It walked all over them. It made the magazine cover for beating anything that came from ye olde Englandy.
No competition.
And it had electric start.
It had so many things.
And the electric
that were
start
amazing.
worked.
It did work.
And it didn't leak.
Right, exactly. So the Superhawk, so not only was that Superhawk the best,
Can't
but
touch
then,
this.
yeah, it can't. But then, as a remarkable thing that only Honda can do, Honda, not enough to fuck you with one dick, but fuck you with an entirely different dick many, many years later and still be the best at it. Honda did the VTR. Honda did the Superhawk. So Honda did the Superhawk 1000, and do you know what it did? It said, "Hey Ducati, that's adorable. Suzuki, nice try. We're going to show you the right way to do a 1000cc V-twin." And yes, the fucking Superhawk, the Honda Superhawk
And
is
RC51 /
I will take an RC51, please.
Exactly.
Nikki Hayden version. Thank you.
I'm going to tell you, the fucking Honda Superhawk. And I have owned them, and I love them, and you can put obscene numbers of miles on them. They look good in red, black, and yellow, which is very hard for a motorcycle company to do. It's a goddamn gorgeous bike. The radiators are going the wrong way. You know, it's a V-twin. It makes noise. If you don't get a boner riding this bike, you're dead.
One of the best sounds was hearing Nikki Hayden go down mid-Ohio.
Or maybe you're just a girl, but okay.
At 190 some miles an hour on his own version of
bike.
The RC51, just wailing, man.
RC51s are amazing. And if in case you need to talk about the bike that nobody's talked about, and I'm kind of happy that they didn't talk about it, right? Is the Vincent Black Shadow, right? Because if you need to have a Black Shadow,
I'd rather have a Bro Superior. Fuck you.
right? Yeah. Right. But in case you did need to have a Black Shadow, the good news is that you can have a Black Shadow with an RC51 motor in it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And if that doesn't make the Super Hawk the best motorcycle in the goddamn world, I don't know what does, because you can turn it into a fucking Black Shadow.
God, well, it already was. So,
All right.
Slow clap.
Mic drop. Mic drop.
And on that,
And on that great news, remember, folks, ride fast and take chances. Play us out of here.